My name is Dr. Jack Lewis. I'm a neuroscientist, and I'm on a journey to understand everything there is to know about the human brain. The human brain is the most complex part of our body. Many mysteries remain about how this most vital of vital organs controls every aspect of our lives. But over the last few decades, our knowledge has expanded in leaps and bounds.
That was a shock to the system.
Now we're getting ready to push it to the limits, finding out how our brains react to unusual conditions and surprising challenges.
This is the strangest experience of my life.
Let's do it.
I'm setting out on a journey. A journey to meet some people with remarkable neurological conditions.
One of the most common questions is, how is it wired to your brain?
That give us a unique insight into the inner workings of the brain.
I discovered people who are able to remember almost every day of their life.
In this episode, we'll mess with your mind to find out how our brains control our experience of pain. I'll push my pain barrier to the limit with high voltage.
Ow! That was a shock to the system.
And sub-zero temperatures. To get there, I'll be coached by a man who has trained his brain to withstand extraordinary levels of pain.
5 minutes, submerged up to here.
And you'll find out how brains generate fear and anxiety.
How good are you at dealing with pain?
I'm joined by magician Pete Heat, who will reveal that pain can often be all in the mind.
Don't worry, before you answer, I'll tell you, I'm not going to hurt you.
What's going on deep inside your head? Join me to uncover the secrets of the brain. Chin chin. Imagine a life without pain. No throbbing headaches, no stinging sunburns, no aching joints. If you think that sounds great, think again. Pain may be unpleasant, but it's vitally important. It could even save your life. It tells us when we've injured a part of our body, and it gives us a sense of how serious the damage is. It serves as a reminder, helping us to protect that body part so that it can heal. Without pain, we'd be in trouble, big trouble. But how does it work? When we injure part of our body, it hurts, but only because our brain says so. Damage-detecting sensory neurons flash a message to the spinal cord. The spinal cord neurons relay the message to the brain, which creates the actual sensation of pain. But sometimes it isn't quite so straightforward. Our brains can get easily confused by the messages from our other senses, as magician Pete Heat knows only too well. Next, he'll be living up to his name by turning up the heat on an extraordinary magic trick.
How good are you at dealing with pain? Don't worry, before you answer, I'll tell you, I'm not going to hurt you. I'm going to kind of flick through the pack like this, and I'm going to get you to say stop somewhere in the pack, so wherever you want.
Stop.
Is that about right? I can go further if you want. You happy? You sure? Okay, I wanted you to know that it was a free choice is the important thing. Yeah? Okay. Can you put one hand out like that? But I'm going to look away, but I want you guys to look at what the top card is where you stopped it. Is everyone seeing that? Yeah? Can you see that? In fact, can you put your other hand on top of it, like that, so cover it up? Yeah. Okay, just so I can't do anything sneaky. So remember that card, yeah? Okay. Now, bearing in mind what I just asked you, I've got a lighter here. Now, I am going to light this, and I am going to hold it under your hands, but I'm going to hold it very low down, so more near your knees, and you will feel warmth because heat rises, obviously, but it will be a very slight on the back of your hand, don't worry. But I want you to close your eyes as well, just so you're just concentrating on what you're feeling rather than seeing. So close your eyes quite tightly for me, okay? Hold on. Yeah, sorry if I can light the thing. Yeah, brilliant. Okay, don't worry. And now it's all right. I'm going to hold it underneath your hand. Okay. So very low, about knee level now. Can you just about feel the warmth from the back of your hand there? Concentrate on what you can feel. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Good. Can you feel that? Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Can you feel that? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Cool. Okay. Now I'm gonna I'm going to raise it slightly higher, but obviously not burn you. So tell me if it gets too hot. You feel like getting slightly warmer now? Concentrate. Yeah. Okay. All right, I'll stop there. I don't want to burn you. All right. Okay. I'm going to take it away. If I open your eyes for me. Now, the weird thing is I haven't actually got a lighter in my hands. Okay. I put that in my pocket. I know you did. But I mean. Correct me if I'm wrong, right? But correct me if I'm wrong. You weren't just saying that just to go along with it. You could actually feel that getting. Yeah, exactly. So you could feel it getting warmer. No, that's important. Like you weren't just saying it because you felt the pressure under the cameras to say it. And that's the interesting thing. So you could feel an actual heat on the back of your hand, right? Now, yeah, it is weird, isn't it? Because you saw I didn't have a lighter there the whole time, right? But the heat was real. Open your hands for me and look at the card now. In fact, show that camera here. Show this camera.
I can't do this.
Okay.
This is really creepy. Is that an actual handprint? Oh my god!
Pete's magic plays on the complex relationship our brains have with pain.
I only felt like the slightest bit of heat, but there was definitely heat. But genuinely felt heat.
Really?
Yeah, genuinely. And I didn't know how it happened, but it obviously happened.
He'd already mentioned, are you good with pain? It definitely put that thought in my mind, and then getting the lighter out. Yeah, I was prepared to burn.
We're amazed because we tend to think of pain as a straightforward process, that our bodies feel the pain and send it on up to the brain as a one-way message. But it simply doesn't work like that.
Surely you'd be able to feel heat like through your skin.
I did.
Like if there was real heat, you could easily tell. But if there's just the notion of it, I don't think it had that much power in actually making you believe that there was a heat source underneath your hands. So that's quite weird.
The thought of there being a fire there, and it made myself feel as though I need to prepare for that and be aware and move my hand away if I need to.
As Pete's trick shows, the brain plays a much bigger role in deciding the pain we feel than many people realise. But if it's possible to feel pain that isn't really there, does it work the other way round? Could we use mind over matter to switch off pain sensations that are there? This is a question that's about to become very important to my future well-being. I've arrived in a place called Blaricum in the Netherlands. I'm joining 300 people who are about to do something that most people wouldn't dream of doing slap bang in the middle of winter. They're going to stand neck deep in really cold lake water for over 5 minutes. Why? Because they believe that not only will they not feel the pain, but also they'll hardly feel the cold. Now, I hate the cold. I'm a huge wimp in that regard, and like most people, I'm not that keen on pain either. But I've been set a challenge to join them. So will I take the plunge or not? Well, to find out, we'll need to rewind to my very first meeting with the man who's responsible for this whole bizarre enterprise. Wim Hof is a Dutch daredevil, more commonly known as the Iceman, for his ability to withstand extreme cold. Wim claims to be able to control his autonomic nervous system, and that this ability can be learned. He's a man who could give us a genuinely extraordinary insight into how our bodies can control pain. By the time Wim reached his teenage years, he was already comfortable running barefoot through the snow, but it was a personal tragedy that pushed him to take this to new extremes. In 1995, he began to experiment with ice baths, building to his first world record attempt.
Hey Wim, hi.
Hi.
How you doing?
Jack.
Lovely to meet you.
That's the way.
How are you?
Right on.
Are you not, I'm all wrapped up like this, are you not a touch cold?
No, I'm used to.
Yeah?
So anybody can do this, but you have to get used to it.
You say anyone can do this, but I am terrible in the cold. I'm a wimp, look at me, I've got 4 layers on.
That's only a vascular condition of being so much in the comfort zone.
So if I get out of my comfort zone, I'll be able to cope with this kind of cold?
I will teach you.
Yeah?
Today.
Let's do it.
This morning.
I can't wait.
How could Wim not feel pain when submerged in ice for over an hour? How could he climb to an altitude of 22,000 feet in nothing but shorts and shoes? This man has some explaining to do.
I know a little bit about what you do, but one of the key questions that I've always been fascinated by is, where did it all come from?
I lost my wife in '95.
Oh, no.
And 4 children with her. So I brought my own children up alone. And
single parent?
Yes, with a lot of grief and broken heart.
It's not in our collective knowledge how to deal with that kind of loss.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I found my silence within by going into nature and exposing my body into extreme nature until this stillness, this peace inside, the power of life itself came back on again.
So once you started getting that feeling, you then thought, presumably, I need to do more of this. I need to explore further. Where did the breathing come into it? The element of breathing, how did you discover that that was important?
I began to notice that if I began to breathe deeper, I was able to stay longer in the ice. And this big sensation, this deep sensation of being came into me and made me able to oxygenate so much that in 25 of deep breathing breaths, I could stay like 5 minutes or 7 minutes under the ice.
Can you teach me some breathing
Yes.
techniques like now?
I got some cushions.
Yeah.
We relax and that's the way.
Brilliant.
Let's go. Deeply in. Letting go. Take him in. Become lightheaded. Loosen the body. Tingling. Now the last one. Deeply in. Letting go. Stop after exhalation.
Wim is able to hold his breath with ease for over 6 minutes, while his entire body is submerged underwater. Cold water, obviously. He claims it's possible for everyone, and that the foundation lies in proper breathing. Through some very simple breathing techniques, he believes you can learn to control not only various aspects of the autonomic nervous system, but even your immune system too.
Okay. Breathe in. Keep it in for 10 seconds. You had 1 minute, 10 seconds without air in the lungs. Okay, let's go into the second round.
Let's do it.
Last one, fully in. Letting go. Stop. Just let the chemistry do its work. 140 almost. 20 seconds more to 2 minutes. 150. That's good enough. Get it in. Keep it 10 seconds. And press a little bit to your brain. It's like natural drugs. You can't.
But you said press a little bit into your brain.
Yeah.
I just shot through all my knowledge of the anatomy of the brain, the cranium, and I was like, nah, that's not possible. And I tried it and it felt a lot better. I don't know how. Yeah, I think you're going to rewrite some anatomy books too.
Now we are going to do push-ups without air in the lungs. There we go. Ready? Go. 30. Feel it.
I was high after 5.
Yeah. Good. Stop. Push up.
After the breathing and meditation exercises, Wim wants me to challenge my body and see how this has affected my pain threshold. 40 push-ups should do the trick.
40.
I got to 25.
Yes.
And then I forgot where I was and I was going faster.
Yes.
That was brilliant.
Right on.
With no oxygen.
How do you feel?
I feel good. I feel great. I'm not going to lie, good isn't enough. I feel great.
In the last 20 minutes, I've held my breath for longer than ever before and completed 40 press-ups without feeling any pain. Wim believes his breathing techniques have short-circuited my ability to feel the burn.
I've heard of the concept of if you stimulate pain receptors, then after a while they stop sending the messages so much. But I've never come across the concept of switching them off even before you've done anything with them.
Yeah.
That's amazing. It kind of makes me want to jump into cold water, but actually, no, because anytime I get in cold water, I always get a cold. So I'm not going to do it. Wim Hof is one of the most inspirational people I've ever met in my life. But even though he's very charismatic, I'm extremely skeptical. If there's no scientific data, I will be very dubious about what I'm being told. So, coming up, I'm going to meet the scientific community who've taken a closer look at what's really going on inside Wim's body. What Wim's extraordinary techniques show us is that we all have the capacity to suppress pain. But you have to be pretty bold to sit in an ice-cold bath for a whole hour. Which makes me wonder, is it possible to switch off just the anxiety part of the pain sensation? Well, it's easier said than done. So, what is the relationship between fear and pain? Between our anticipation of pain and its reality? To understand, we need to look at the part of the brain that responds to potential dangers, the amygdala. To keep us alive, it's evolved to keep us super sensitive to threats and perils. To speed things up, it receives direct inputs from our eyes, nose, tongue, and ears. These special subcortical pathways bypass the outer part of the brain where sensory perception is usually generated, allowing us to detect threats subliminally and respond to them before we even realise there's a problem. So, for example, a faint smell of burning can make us feel anxious, even when it's below a level we can detect consciously. Want to see your amygdala in action? Have a listen to this. All you have to do is listen and see how these sounds make you feel. Ready? Now calm down, no need to panic. It's only Pete. You just fell victim to your ever-watchful amygdala. Your ears perceived the music as a threat, so assumed your eyes and other senses would follow. How did you feel when you heard those sounds? There's an evolutionary explanation for this sudden onset of anxiety. These sounds are similar in pitch to the cry of a baby, and because we're hardwired to respond to any potential danger, to us or our children, feelings of fear and concern rapidly escalate. Okay, so our sense of hearing is finely tuned to detect any sign of danger in our immediate environment. A single alarming sound and the adrenaline instantly kicks in. But what about vision? Here's a simple demo to show you. Have a look at this series of images. Did you recall seeing this phone, for example, and the kitten? It's unlikely. At this speed, it's hard to see an object long enough for it to stick. Now take a look at this next series of pictures. Did you happen to see the spider and the shark? It's highly likely. Now, this second selection of images was played at exactly the same speed. We just replaced the kitten and the phone with the spider and the shark. So why would your brain prioritize those images? Well, your amygdalae leapt into action to spot the threat. In fact, all our amygdalae are triggered when we see a dangerous animal or simply by being put in a situation we don't like. What makes you scared?
My greatest fear is spider.
My greatest fear is probably spiders. Anything that have a lot of legs. I don't really like legs.
If I see a spider in my room, I cannot sleep from the night.
Fear of spiders is one of the most common phobias, and largely irrational given that we're much more likely to kill them than they are to kill us, in the UK at least. One prominent theory states that early on in human evolution, spiders must have posed a deadly threat for us to have developed such a hair-trigger reaction to them. We're all terrified of spiders, right? Time for magician Pete Heat to find out just how much.
This one involves a little app, right? It's not really a magic thing as such, but I'll show you what I mean. Can I take a picture of your left hand?
Yes, you go.
Okay, yeah, do you want to do it? Okay. Okay, so now if I put that there, it looks like that is your hand, right? It looks like we can see through. But now this is what the app does. Like, it basically makes it look like there's a little spider walking across there. Okay. In fact, I think it's motion activated, so I'll try and bring him back. There he is. So this isn't the trick, by the way. This is just a weird little thing. But actually, if you wave your hand over it, if you wave your hand over it,
Oh my god! I don't like spiders.
It just goes to show how amusing our instinctive fight or flight response can be in the hands of the right prankster. If our sense of fear, anxiety, and stress are all hardwired into our brains, is there any way we can override such a primal response? So we know that it's our brain that sets off the alarm bells when we're under threat. But what then are the physical responses that kick in? In other words, what happens to our body when we're scared? Here's one way to find out. I want you to be nice and calm for this next experiment. Have a look at this pendulum and just allow your eyes to follow it swing back and forth. Back. Sorry if that was a shock, but if we got you, then hopefully your body is now exhibiting all the classic adrenaline-fueled symptoms of fear and anxiety. When our amygdala rings the alarm bells, our heart rates shoot up, our breathing patterns change dramatically, and you get that knot in your stomach. Neuroscientist Sarah Garfinkel has been studying the interplay between our bodies and our brain in relation to how we process painful memories. It's a fascinating area of research. It's not often that I find myself actively seeking out painful experiences, but that's precisely what today is all about. And Sarah's about to make me feel very anxious. She set up a pain lab, and I'm today's guinea pig.
So this is Dr. Cassandra Gould, who
Hi.
is an expert at setting up these types of experiments. So
Great.
Cass, go for it.
This experiment has two parts. The first part, we're going to define a shock threshold, like an intensity of electric shock, which you think is uncomfortable but not painful.
So, stage one, establishing my pain threshold.
Unless you're being wired up, it's not a proper experiment, is it?
Definitely not. Next, we're going to put the electrodes on you that's going to give the electric shock. So we've got some nice conductive paste to make sure the shock goes right through you.
I'm not going to lie, now the electrode's on, and I can see it's a proper heavy-duty piece of technology, I'm a little bit apprehensive, if I'm honest.
Well, we're interested in fear, so this is exactly the effect that we're going for.
So, do you feel all nice and secure? You think your hand's going to stay still?
I've never felt safer in all of my life. Not.
Okay, so we're going to begin the thresholding part now.
You mean the painful part?
The painful part. Are you ready to begin?
Yes, I am ready to begin.
Okay.
And so it begins. Increased levels of electricity will be zapped through my arm until I reach a point that feels genuinely uncomfortable.
Did you feel anything then?
It hurt a little bit, not much.
So it's still uncomfortable but not painful.
Ow! That was a shock to the system. So
Yeah?
I wouldn't want it to get any worse than that. Let's stay there.
I just had 82 volts sent through my body.
Ow!
And it's not nice.
Well, I don't think we need to duck it down.
Okay.
I'm scared,
You're
of
scared?
that. Not scared, but I'm wary of that happening again. Like, that's not pleasant.
So are they just sadists? Or is there some science in here somewhere? Well, I hope so, as it's on to stage 2. Now the experiment is simple. I'm going to be shown a series of images, and one of them will be accompanied by a shock. But will my brain begin to anticipate and maybe even fear the pain just on the basis of this recurring image?
Before and after the experiment, I'm going to ask you to give some ratings about these pictures. So they're just abstract pictures that probably don't hold much meaning for you now, but after you've seen them on the screen, they might be more important to you. We'll do one set before we begin, after we've done the electric shocks, and then one set after as well. Okay? If you can sit back for me and get comfortable. And the experiment will last about 10 minutes.
Okay.
So the shocking experiment begins. Can I be taught to fear an arbitrary geometric symbol through electrocution?
Ow.
The answer is yes.
Oh, the weight is killing me. I hate it.
Within minutes, I'm starting to feel genuinely apprehensive about a small grey flower. Will I be scared of it for life? Thankfully, Sarah thinks not.
What we've done now is we've created a fear response by associating these symbols with electric shocks. But now we would do something called extinction, which is where we show you the symbols repeatedly, but they're not associated anymore with electric shocks. And then we can do something which is called extinguish the fear response. And that's where both your body and your brain learn that these shapes are now safe.
That's happening for me with these arbitrary geometric shapes, but
Yeah.
presumably you could do a similar thing with images of things that people are genuinely scared of.
One of the big ways of treating phobias is to expose people to the thing they're most scared of. But if people avoid it and don't go to the end and don't really go to the full course of exposure therapy, then they can still be very scared of the thing they're scared of. They have to really experience the thing in its whole entirety in order for the fear response to be properly extinguished.
But this experiment hasn't just been about my fear response. For Sarah, it's part of a much bigger study into the relationship between our brains, fear, and our hearts.
Your heartbeat is speaking to the computer, which is generating these images, and they're being shown either exactly when your heart is beating or in between heartbeats.
That's very interesting, but why? Why?
Because what we're able to show is that something which is processed when your heart is beating is more fearful. That it's exactly when the heart is beating, you let in all the fear. You let in all the fear, but then you learn it's safe. So you have a big fear response, but you need a big fear response in order to see that nothing bad has happened.
Well, I would say thanks, but it's been horrible. So...
Well, you've helped science, so we'll thank you instead.
I would have thought that if you had an increased awareness of what's going on in your heart or your breathing, that would only make the fear worse. But it's actually the other way round. A greater awareness of your body can help to diminish that overactive sense of fear or anxiety.
We believe that accurate knowledge of your heart can actually help your brain understand what your heart is doing. So each time your heart beats, it signals a response to the brain, which activates areas such as your amygdala that's involved in fear. But if you're good at knowing when your heart is beating, then you know that the response in your brain is potentially driven by your heart. And through further understanding, uniting this loop between brain and body is a way of therefore understanding where these signals are coming from and actually potentially that serving to reduce the fear response.
Now, making me feel scared of a weird geometric symbol might seem a bit strange. But actually, this research has serious implications for both science and medicine. Sarah's experiments back the idea that fear can not only be learned, but also potentially extinguished.
The point is that when it comes to pain, we should all pay attention to our physiology. Listen to and control your body, and you could better control your brain. Now, sadly, I'm not able to electrocute strangers to see if I can apply her theory in the real world. But it is possible to set up a simple experiment which shows how a simple change in our bodies can improve our brain function. I've pulled together 4 willing volunteers to a gym to show how your body can rule your brain. All you need is a pair of chopsticks and some spinning plates.
Christy, have you ever done this before?
Once when I was a kid.
So, a few years ago.
Quite a while.
Okay. All right, well, look, maybe this will help you, maybe it won't. Here's a chopstick, if you could put it in.
To start with, I want the first team to hold the chopstick in their mouth in a particular way.
Now shove it in the middle.
Yes! Oh, it's so close.
Oh, stop, this one's stopped now. Well done, 4.
Yeah.
So you've never done this before?
No, never.
Feeling confident?
So.
So if you could stick this in your mouth sideways on. Perfect. Let's see how we get on.
Now for the second team, I'm asking them to bite onto the chopstick in a different way. Think this might make a difference? Take a look. So what's going on? He's got 5.
Stop. This one has stopped. Good effort, sir. So you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, which is excellent. Are you happy with 5?
Yeah, I'm pretty happy with 5.
Not bad for
Yeah.
a complete beginner.
For a complete beginner.
Good job, sir.
Thank you.
Nice one. How could that possibly have helped you? Any
Was it
idea?
distracting my brain from thinking about that instead of what I was thinking too much about what I was trying to do?
Close, but no cigar.
Ah.
I'll tell you in a sec. You're probably wondering what the hell this had to do with everything.
Yeah.
Well, it's all to do with the facial feedback hypothesis. Every single time you've ever felt happiness, it's probably more often than not been associated with a smiling facial expression. By pulling a smiling facial expression, it can make you feel that little bit happier. Conversely, when you pull a frown, because of all those times you spent sad, simply by pulling a frowning sad face, it can make you feel incrementally sadder. And of course, when we're happy, we perform better. When we're sad, we tend to perform worse in any given task. So the idea was, those of you with the smiling facial expression would do a little bit better, and those of you with the sad one would do a little bit worse. And that's exactly what we found.
It definitely made a difference. I wasn't sure if it's because I was concentrating on the stick in my mouth rather than worrying about what I was doing. But actually, it was much better than I thought I was going to be, so it obviously worked.
So, what have we learnt so far? Wim's extraordinary abilities, Pete's tricks, and my torture session all reveal the same thing. Our experience of anxiety, fear and pain are far more complicated than you might have thought. But one thing is becoming increasingly clear. It's definitely possible to manipulate the messages en route from body to brain. Increasingly, science is starting to understand how you can use your brain to cheat your body and your body to trick your brain. So if you want to take control of your body, there are some surprising things you might want to try. Now I'm about to see if I can submerge my entire body in icy water. Let's see if there are other tricks you can use to withstand the pain of extreme cold.
Okay, here we have a lovely bucket of ice. It's not a test of strength or who's the hardest. It's about getting to the point with your fist sunk all the way down to the bottom that it starts feeling uncomfortable. At the moment, you're like, you know what? I don't like this. Pull it out. So Ashley, if you want to go first. Not nice. After you. Get stuck in. Go on, David.
Oh yeah, that's really like a bit sore now.
Great. So everyone's thresholds are completely different, so there's no winners or losers here. But what we're going to do this time is get you to do exactly the same thing, but instead of being silent, we're going to get you to curse. Maybe not curse, but at least shout and see if that can subtly change the threshold, the point at which the discomfort kicks in. Have a go. Whenever you're ready, we're looking for the point of discomfort. Louder! It only works if you do it loud.
No, that's it.
Next up.
Okay, no.
Give us a good shout. Come on.
That's enough.
It's ice! This ice! The green bucket! You can do this!
So did any of you find that when you're allowed to shout and curse, that it made it easier to withstand the cold?
Well, yeah, I definitely kept my hand in for longer. I didn't really notice the discomfort because I was just, I suppose, letting stuff out.
as Ashley said, you focus on something else and you're not too distracted by the water.
Now this is just a simple experiment, but earlier on we met Wim Hof, a man who's trained his mind to overcome fear and his body to overcome pain. But what is it that Wim is doing that most of us can't? How does he maintain that level of control? It's a question that Wim himself is curious to answer. He's been working closely with scientists to try and understand what's happening to his mind and body. Matthias Cox and Peter Pickers are professors at the Department of Intensive Care, Radboud University. Their speciality is the immune system. They think that Wim's technique could be the key to not only understanding immediate discomfort, but also, potentially, chronic pain. Their studies show that he can control his autonomic nervous system, something that science previously thought was impossible.
A lot of people ask, how did you get in contact with Wim Hof? But actually, he found us. We didn't find him. He was doing an experiment in the Department of Physiology, and he was standing in ice, what he does often, and they were measuring his baseline metabolic rate. And it was actually quite amazing that his baseline metabolic rate went up with 300%, and his core temperature went up, not down, when he was standing in ice. And while he was there, he mentioned, by the way, I can also influence my immune system by using my techniques.
Hey. Hey.
Hi.
Hi.
Peter.
How are you? Good to see you again, man.
When we started to work with Wim Hof, we were actually quite reluctant. I looked him up and I watched his movies on YouTube and I found out the things that he did. So we said, well, he's a little bit of a crazy guy, but he has done things that are really, really remarkable. So maybe we should give him a chance. His first claim was, I can modulate my immune response. But then he came with his second claim and he said, I can teach this to other people. And so then we said, all right, in that case, we can do a study in which you train healthy volunteers that have no experience with meditation, with cold exposure, with anything. We injected them with endotoxin, and when the numbers came back, they were amazing indeed.
What we wanted to talk about today is the next study.
We have seen in the previous study that using your whole set of techniques, you can modulate your immune system via your autonomic nervous system. And now we, as Professor Pickers alluded to, we want to peel it apart.
So the brain is one thing, but we have the breathing techniques and we have the exposure to cold. And so we want to dissect how important it is to do the three combined, or maybe we can leave out one or two and make it more feasible for older people or patients.
Yes, exactly. I was thinking about that too, to make it accessible, simple and effective for any person, and for that I'm very, very
So what does modulating your immune response really mean? And how could this help people with chronic pain? The role of the immune system is to protect against disease or other potentially damaging foreign bodies. But sometimes our body's immune system attacks and destroys healthy body tissue by mistake. There are more than 80 types of autoimmune disorders, and often this can lead to chronic pain. Matthias and Peter's research with Wim explores the notion that humans can consciously control their immune system, which could have important implications for the treatment of a variety of conditions. Before now, both the autonomic nervous system and innate immune system were regarded as systems that could not be voluntarily influenced. This research has shed new light on their relationship, and in the process, the Radboud team have begun to challenge established medical theory.
If you could modulate your immune response by just doing these techniques, this would help in patients with these diseases. The immune response we measured during endotoxemia is a very objective measure because we measure it in the lab, it's proteins in the blood, And we found indeed that with the techniques that you teach to the healthy volunteers, they were able to modulate that.
If you look at the textbooks, the autonomic nervous system, the name says it, it's autonomic. So you cannot willingly or voluntarily influence it. That goes also for the immune system, actually. It's something that you have no influence over whatsoever, yourself.
There are many, many diseases that are caused by hyperinflammation, too persistent, too pronounced immune response.
If we would be able to show that this works in patients, it will be a method in which patients can do something about their own disease.
So you know what we are planning and what we will do?
Most exciting.
Yes, and we will keep you informed.
I love science.
Keep in touch.
Thank you very much.
And, see you next time.
Bye-bye.
Yes.
Bye.
Bye.
My big day has almost arrived. Tomorrow, I'll join 300 people who are ready to put Wim's technique to the test. It's clear that Wim has opened some fascinating lines of inquiry for the scientific community. But I still need to understand why and how this can stop me feeling the extreme pain caused by freezing water. Luckily, I've booked in for a late-night pep talk from one of the strongest advocates of the Wim Hof technique, Pierre Capel, Professor Emeritus of Experimental Immunology at Utrecht University.
The Wim Hof method involves several different components. Most obviously, there's the breathing technique. How does that contribute to his ability to control his bodily sensations?
If you ventilate and you blow off CO2, he gets rid of excess of CO2. It changes the pH of the blood. The pH rises. At a higher pH, you don't feel pain.
So this explains why I could do so many push-ups. There are all kinds of pain receptors around my body, and Wim's breathing technique was seemingly able to disable some of these by raising the pH level in my blood. But how does this affect fear or anxiety?
If I have the breathing which Wim Hof is teaching, then I dismantle my pain perception. But the same receptor is the anxiety receptor in the amygdala. So I have no pain and no fear and no anxiety due to the breathing. But the cold generates a total change in metabolism, a total change in blood flow, upregulation of adrenaline, which is fantastic. So if you disconnect pain and anxiety from survival, then you only have survival and you can walk up a mountain.
Wim describes the fact that he's in a very specific state of mind, which could be described as meditation.
Sure.
How does that influence the overall sort of mind over matter phenomenon?
Stress in the natural way is good, but that has a time frame. It starts and it stops. Chronic stress has no start and no stop. The natural stress reaction is life-saving. The chronic stress is life-ruining. And so if you do the Wim Hof method by breathing for 20 minutes, which is a type of meditation, then you switch off the devastating effect of the chronic stress.
Being active, meditating, breathing, special breathing practices, all of these things can actually boost your overall level of well-being?
Yes, and it spirals.
We can even extend our life.
Just enjoy life for half an hour all by yourself. That is it.
Well, I'm convinced. At least enough to make my way to the big event. Today's mass cold immersion has been organised by a man called Henk, who says his life has been changed by Wim's methods.
I had rheumatism on a really bad form. I had a lot of medication. If a doctor gives you a pill, you're only waiting for the doctor to take another pill. And if you have pain or suffering from anything, from a disease, you're only trust on your pill. After working with Wim, I took it down for 1 injection every 3 months instead of every week. So I cut down my medication and I started really feeling stronger, very healthier, more powerful. Never lose your contact with your doctor. Don't think it's a medicine, cold water, because it isn't. But starting to know yourself and finding yourself you find your own way to much more.
The youngest participant is 11 and the oldest is 72. And the latest temperature test has the water at just 5 degrees centigrade. First, Wim warms everyone up with his breathing techniques. Warming up alongside me are people with a range of health problems, from multiple sclerosis to severe back pain. It's the big moment. I'm finally in the water, but will it work?
That was easy. You know what? It's not complicated. 3 30-second bouts of crazy breathing, and anyone can do that. Wimp no longer. Now I'm Wimp. I can't believe I did it. If you ask anyone that knows me well, they will tell you I am terrible in the cold. I'm a real wimp. I'm always wrapped up with much more layers than anyone else. But today, I was in there for 5 minutes, and you know what? I don't know whether it was the Wim Hof effect or whether it was the Wim Hof method, but either way, I was right next to him. By doing all the breathing techniques for ages beforehand and all the muscle stuff, it meant that I brought up the pH of my blood by removing the carbon dioxide. That decoupled the proteins in my pain receptors, which meant that I didn't feel pain when I was in there. Then the muscles, as Prof. Capel told us, produced various myokines, which also changed the way your DNA expresses itself. And for all of these reasons and more, I was relatively comfortable in an otherwise very stressful situation. But Wim would, of course, kill me if I didn't point out that all I did was use the cold water to shock myself into its natural state. And as you may be able to tell, I feel high as a kite. So I would highly recommend it to anyone. And you wouldn't have caught me saying that 24 hours ago. Are you ready to push your pain thresholds to the limit? Well, personally, I'm not convinced I'm going to start every morning hyperventilating and then jumping in an ice cold bath. But Wim's technique sheds some fascinating light on the relationship between our bodies and our nervous systems. From how we can feel pain purely because our brains tell us to, how we can be taught to develop fear but also to overcome it, to the ability of the body to withstand much more pain than you'd ever think possible. Together, these remarkable stories take us ever closer to unlocking the incredible secrets of the brain. So no need to be scared then. My name is Dr. Jack Lewis. I'm a neuroscientist, and I'm on a journey to understand everything there is to know about the human brain. The human brain is the most complex part of our body. Many mysteries remain about how this most vital of vital organs controls every aspect of our lives. But over the last few decades, our knowledge has expanded in leaps and bounds. That was a shock to the system. Now we're getting ready to push it to the limits, finding out how our brains react to unusual conditions and surprising challenges.
This is the strangest experience of my life.
Let's do it. I'm setting out on a journey. A journey to meet some people with remarkable neurological conditions.
One of the most common questions is, how is it wired to your brain?
They give us a unique insight into the inner workings of the brain.
I discovered people who are able to remember almost every day of their life.
In this episode, we'll mess with your mind and explore the mysterious origins of creativity in our brains. I'll meet a man who, after a severe brain trauma, discovered he had an amazing talent for art.
Prior to the illness, I had no interest in art whatsoever. And here I am all these years later.
I'll discover a surprisingly successful way to tap into your own creativity.
Down the hatch!
And give these people the inspiration to solve some fiendishly tricky tasks. Plus, with the help of magician Pete Heat, read the creative minds of some unsuspecting members of the public.
3, 2, 1.
What's going on deep inside your head? Join me to uncover the secrets of the brain.
Chin chin.
From painting a picture to building a skyscraper. From knitting your own sweater to blasting off into outer space. So much of what's most impressive about what we humans can do comes down to our incredible diverse creativity. And somehow, it all comes out of our amazing brains.
To begin our journey into our creative brains, Pete the Magician has a trick that gets right to the heart of what creativity is. Our ability to generate our own unique ideas.
Would either of you two describe yourselves as creative, do you think? Yeah?
Yeah.
You'd say so?
Yeah.
Yeah? So you're creative, you'd say. Good, perfect. Because I'd like you to create an image, but in your head. But ideally, it would be something random and something just that there's no way I could know that you would go for. Does that make sense? Yes. Okay, cool. And have you got something already?
Yeah.
Yeah? Okay. You want to change your mind? You're happy with that?
No.
You're happy? Okay. All right, I want you to picture whatever it is that you're picturing, and I want you to, in your head, to make that image really big and clear. So look at me. Okay. It is quite a big image, isn't it? It's not like something, okay. I'm going to get you to draw, for real this time, an image of what you're picturing in your head, okay? And just let me know when you're done, really. Okay. So let's turn our backs now. Okay. And I want you to start drawing now. I've instantly got a picture in my head, so I hope this is right. How are you doing? Are you near?
Finished.
You finished already? Okay, cool. I think I'm finished as well. Hold your drawing against your chest so that when you turn around, I can't see what it is, okay?
Right, yes.
And then turn to face me again, okay? All right, so you're committed to a drawing.
Yeah.
On 3, I'm going to get you to turn it and show me what you've drawn, and I'll do the same. Okay. 3, 2, 1.
Oh, God!
It was just really strange and weird how I had created an image in my mind, and there was no way that he could have known, but he created the same image in his own mind and put it down on paper. I don't know how he did that. I have no idea. I'm a bit freaked out.
I don't know why he can do it. Yeah, it's so great.
I was convinced that he wasn't going to guess what it was that I had been drawing, because it was a completely abstract image and it was something that would be quite hard for someone to guess. But then when he turned it around and it looked so similar to my image, I was just completely and utterly blown away.
The reason those people were stunned by Pete's magic trick is that anytime we're asked to create something, even something as basic as a simple line drawing, we feel like whatever we dream up is our own original idea, selected from an infinity of possibilities. Then when somebody creates something more or less identical, well, that leaves us completely bamboozled.
Science is only just starting to understand creativity in the human brain, but clues to its origin can lie with people who have extraordinary things going on in theirs. People like Alan Brown, who until 12 years ago would never have even considered stepping into an art gallery. Alan was a family man with a 9-to-5 job in the building trade until a freak neural episode changed everything. I'm on my way to meet him to find out how he went from there to a life ignited by a newfound passion for fine art.
Hello, Alan.
Hi there.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too. 2003, suffered from a headache for 12 months, 18 months. It turned out to be a brain aneurysm and had erupted.
So it ended up being a hemorrhage? From aneurysm to hemorrhage?
Yes.
Oh dear.
I can remember I was taken to Oxford, to the Radcliffe. The guy came down to me then and said, I'm ever so sorry, but it's quite a complicated rupture. So I had an open brain surgery, 16 hours.
The trauma left Alan paralysed down one side, but he was lucky to be alive. And that's when his life changed.
Prior to the illness, I had no interest in art whatsoever. To be honest with you, I'd never even been in an art gallery prior to this.
And what did you do? What did you do for a living, for instance, before you had the...
Double glazing. I ran a double glazing company for 20 years.
Is there much art in that?
No art at all.
When the doctors performed brain surgery on Alan, they may have thought they were just saving his life. But following the op, something else changed. His creativity had been unleashed.
This nurse came by and she looked me right in the eye and said, "Art, that's what you need, young man. Art." And I thought, oh God, no. And I politely told her, no, thank you. I've got enough problems. My exact response was, I don't do art, thank you very much. But she kept on and she returned again and again until the one day she came in with clutching a pencil and a pad. She pulled out this photograph of her pet dog and said, "Have a go at drawing that." Well, I don't mind admitting my abilities at the time to do a dog was something simple like that. It was basically just a little sausage dog. That was my ability. But 30 minutes later, I'm clutching this drawing and it was perfect.
Oh, really?
It was absolutely perfect. I couldn't believe it.
Amazingly, this moment led Alan to discover a talent and love for art he'd never experienced before.
Suddenly I had this interest in art. I thought, yeah, I'm going to take this up and have a look. The first painting, I can remember thinking, this feels good, this is making me feel good inside this. You know, I could really, it really cheered me up. And it went from there, I just got more and more interested in it. So I went on to the next level and ended up graduating from university.
Really? You went all the way to university level?
Yeah. I thought, well, this is it. Art is my passion. I really was getting a passion for it. You know, I took the lease on this place, spent all the money I had left on a lot of paintings, and opened the door.
Great.
And here I am all these years later. So everything's possible.
Alan's brain trauma was extremely severe, but at the same time, he'd also experienced an incredible transformation.
I'm happier now than I was before. If I knew then what I know now, I would have stopped. I would have gone into something more creative, be it painting or music, pottery, whatever. You need to find what gets your heart racing, that you know, the adrenaline pumping, that exciting. That feeling you get Christmas Day when you're opening your presents, that kind of excitement.
So what actually happened in Alan's brain to cause this extraordinary change? We'll join him again later as he finally gets some answers.
This part of the brain allows us to plan, decide, and most importantly, control.
And find out how we might all have an innate creativity deep within our brains.
Some inhibitions that usually hold us back from trying things out are lifted.
Creativity is one of the least well understood human abilities. There are so many different ways to be creative. It makes pinning it down in the brain incredibly difficult.
Creativity is one of the least understood human abilities. Traditionally, we think of creativity as being artistic, but that's not the only creative thing that we do. We go to the moon. We create amazing buildings. We think of new ways to explain things to people. That is all creativity. And that's why it's so difficult for us to define it and then for us to be able to explain it and work out what's happening in the brain.
In essence, creativity is our fundamental drive for newness. Thinking up a new way to do something or a novel method of solving a problem takes creativity. Here's a test of your brain's creative problem-solving ability. By moving just 2 matches, create an extra square. 5 squares in total instead of 4. Here's the secret. These are the 2 matches you need to reposition. Use one to create a lid for this square. Use the other to create a base to this square. Woohoo! Et voila, 5 squares instead of 4. While you were solving that puzzle, a flurry of activity was going on inside your head. But rather than it being exclusively a creative surge in just one part of the brain, there was actually a complex chain reaction happening in a number of different neural networks. The 2 hemispheres, the left and right halves of the brain, are often mentioned when people talk about creativity. So now I want to delve deeper into what that actually means.
This is a model of the human brain. This is the front, this is where your eyeballs would be, and over here is the back. Now, as you can see, it's divided into 2 hemispheres. You've got the right hemisphere and the left hemisphere, which on the surface of it look identical. But in actual fact, there are various jobs which one or other side of the brain is either partly or fully responsible for. For example, there's a strip here on the left hemisphere which controls the right side of the body, and this mirror image strip controls the left side of the body. The same thing goes for your senses. Anything in the right side of space will cross to the left side of the brain. Anything from the left side of space will cross to the right side of the brain.
Here's a test that'll get both hemispheres of your brain working really hard. Hold one of your hands like this. Then move it in a big circle away from you. With your other hand, try to do a similar movement but in the opposite direction. Tricky, isn't it? The reason this is so hard is because your brain has to issue 2 conflicting commands at the same time. One from the left side of your brain, the other from the right. The command from your left hemisphere seems to fight the one from the right hemisphere, and one hand ends up copying the other.
Something else that's often said to happen more on one side of the brain than the other is creativity. And that creative people are more right side brain dominant than everyone else. But is this really true? I want to find out how the brain really does do creativity.
You might have seen this optical illusion before. It claims to reveal whether you're right-brained or left-brained, and therefore creative or not. All you have to do is judge whether the figure is spinning clockwise or anti-clockwise. If it looks like it's going clockwise, then supposedly you rely more on the right-hand creative side of your brain. If it's going anti-clockwise, you're meant to be left-side dominant and a more analytical person. So can this simple test really offer such a revealing insight into our brains?
In fact, the latest research suggests that it could be a huge misconception that creativity is exclusively confined to one side of the brain, whilst being analytical is the job of the other. The hemispheres simply don't work in isolation. They're constantly talking to each other every moment of every day and form a very tight system.
There's also a misconception that our personalities are somehow governed more by one side of the brain than the other. The truth is, each side does have a few of its own jobs, but neither is the absolute boss. To look into where in the brain one particular aspect of creativity might originate, I've got some more mind-bending problems up my sleeve. I want to investigate the initial flash of insight we get when we solve a problem. That light bulb moment that can kick off a chain reaction of creativity.
Okay, Tom, it's a really simple pub puzzle. The aim of the game is to get these 9 bottle caps in a triangular formation just like this, but instead of it pointing towards me, it points towards you. And to get there, you're only allowed to move 3 bottle caps and let you concentrate.
The challenge is to invert the triangle by moving just 3 bottle tops. Relax your mind and just see what comes to you. When we're more relaxed, the brain enters a state that can highlight things we tend to overlook. Just a few minutes later, and the pennies dropped.
Oh yeah, good man.
Did you solve it? If not to worry. Perhaps some more practical problems more up your street.
You're allowed to touch the banknote, you're not allowed to touch the bottle, and once you've found the solution, you'll have removed the banknote and the bottle will be exactly where it is. You can use whatever means you like, you can touch the banknote as much as you want in any way you like, but do not touch the bottle. Let's give it a go.
As we ponder a tricky problem, our brains conjure up a series of possible solutions, which we can test one by one until, hopefully, one rings true. Of course, it might take a while.
Before it smashes, that's not the solution. You're not getting anywhere.
All it takes is one promising lead, and we have that elusive light bulb moment.
Different technique.
He's invented a solution that never previously existed in his brain.
Wicked. You've won yourself a tenner.
Yes. Now it's time for a much more difficult problem that'll help us find out where in our brain that light bulb moment of creative insight happens.
Okay, Letty, so this is a simple pub challenge. You got 2 glasses of matchstick and a bottle cap. Your job is to free the bottle cap. You're allowed to move the glasses, but you're not allowed to move the matchstick. The matchstick has to stay there up in the air. There's no time limit, take as long as you like.
Okay,
Don't-
so
no
presumably
stress.
just doing that isn't going to work.
Because
This could take a long time to figure out analytically, but I want to see if I can give Letty a sudden flash of creative insight using word clues on these screens.
We're going to get you to look at these screens. I'm going to get you to stare at the cross in the middle of the screens, and you have to keep your eyes pointing at that, and then we're going to display some words in your peripheral vision. You won't be able to read them if you're staring at the cross, but don't worry about it. Okay?
Okay, yeah, okay.
Good stuff. All right, off we go.
We're displaying these words in the periphery of Letty's field of vision. First, over on the right of centre.
Okay, so just keep your eyes on that cross.
Not all the words are real clues. Some are irrelevant. But will any of them inspire Letty to crack that matchstick puzzle?
Ooh, close.
Evidently not. But let's see what happens when I play the same clue words on the left of Letty's field of vision. A curious feature of our brains is that whatever side we see something on, it's initially processed by the opposite hemisphere of the brain. So, visual information coming in from our right-hand side goes into the left hemisphere. Visual information on our left initially goes to the right hemisphere. But here's the thing. Our moments of creative inspiration tend to occur on one side of the brain more than the other. The right side, corresponding to what we see over in our left field of view. So how inspiring will the clue words have been this time?
Can I use the matchbox?
Yes, you can.
Oh.
It's good, it's good. I like your thinking. Yeah! Well done. Great work, Letty. That was beautiful.
Thank you.
Playing the cue words on the left seems to have successfully inspired a moment of creative insight.
So tell me, how did it come to you, like a sort of moment, bolt out of the blue, or did you sort of work it out sequentially?
No, it just suddenly came to me.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Nice one. Well, thanks for your help.
Pleasure. Thank you.
Cheers.
Studies have found that visual clues are effective when presented on the left, but not the right, again and again.
So if you're looking for that flash of inspiration to kickstart a whirlwind of creativity, one strategy you might wish to try is moving your head ever so slightly to one side so that more of the relevant information is coming in from the left side of space. That will of course go across to the right side of the brain, which could be just the ticket for triggering that elusive eureka moment.
So far, in our journey of creativity into the human brain, we've met a man who had an extraordinary artistic awakening. We've also found out that our two brain hemispheres don't work in isolation of each other. However, it does seem that our light bulb or eureka moments start over on the right-hand side. Still to come, I'll find a surprising way to access my own creativity. But first, Pete the Magician has been messing with people's ability to creatively deceive him.
Would you guys describe yourselves as creative?
I would like to describe myself as creative in an ideal world.
Yeah, okay.
I dabble.
You dabble in creativity. All right, okay. Yes, all of you, brilliant. Okay, and is that something you all do at work, or is it quite a creative job that you're in, or you're just
We're just creative.
You're just creative.
Naturally
Outside of
creative.
That's brilliant. Okay, we're going to play a little game involving your hands. Okay, and you got a chance to win some big money.
Thanks.
I'm going to get you to put your hands behind your back, and basically, you're going to put the coin in either one of your hands. You can change your mind as many times as you want, make it difficult for me.
Pete's told his volunteers to give away no clues about which hand they've hidden the coin in. Seems straightforward enough.
Now I know obviously that you're right-handed because you've just told me. Now I think that you probably wouldn't have gone for the right hand because you know that I know that. You probably would have gone for the left hand to start with, is that right?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, brilliant, that's it? Okay, great, okay. So I think it is in this hand this time actually, is that right? Yes, brilliant, okay.
But when asked to hide the coin a second time, what would have been a simple decision now involves a creative thought process. How to outwit Pete.
Now this time, the temptation would be, so obviously it was in your left hand last time, right? The temptation would be to switch it over to your right hand, but I think maybe because that would seem like an obvious thing to do, I think you would have probably done a double bluff and actually stuck with it in the same hand again. Is that right? Yeah, brilliant, okay, cool. All right, and I think you would have ended up with this hand over here, is that right? Yeah. Yes, brilliant, okay, cool. So this hand is, yeah.
Try as they might, their internal creative dialogue is somehow being given away to Pete.
I think it is in this hand. Yes, okay.
In a way they're not even aware of themselves.
So I think it is in this hand this time actually, is that right? Yes, brilliant, okay.
At least that's how it seems to them.
I'm taking that back.
I was trying really hard not to give anything away, but it wasn't working. It's like, yeah, that's obviously in your left hand. Clearly, I'm not as good a liar as I thought I was. I think when he was doing the trick, I was kind of thinking about what he would be thinking about, but it kind of seems like he was thinking the same way, so he kind of figured it out every time.
This magic trick illustrates how even mundane activities can involve a certain degree of creative thought to plan, organise, carry out and justify. So, if we all have creativity built into our brains, what makes some people better than others at expressing themselves creatively? For instance, with art. Earlier, I met Alan, who recovered from a brain trauma and 16 hours of open brain surgery to discover a creative urge he'd never had before.
Suddenly I had this interest in art. I thought, yeah, I'm going to take this up and have a look. The first painting, I can remember thinking, this feels good, this is making me feel good inside this. You know, I could really, it really cheered me up. And it went from there, I just got more and more interested in it.
Alan's never had a scientific explanation for his dramatic artistic awakening, but he's now come to meet neuropsychologist Dr. Ashok Jansari in search of answers.
So now you love your art, do you?
I'm passionate about it.
Any particular form of art?
Painting. I am so into art now, it's difficult to explain the difference before and after.
Well, we refer to it as sudden artistic output, and it's something that can happen after some forms of brain injury, and we don't understand it very well. We think that it's probably to do with the fact that some inhibitions that usually hold us back from trying things out are lifted.
Dr. Jansari suspects Alan's brain might have been affected in regions that govern his inhibitions.
The front of the brain, again, is rather interesting because this part of the brain, so it allows us to plan, decide, and most importantly, control. It's the thing that allows us to do socially appropriate things, decide not to swear, etc., etc. And when that control is taken away, that can unleash the things that are underneath.
So rather than Alan's brain trauma making him creative out of nowhere, it might have simply taken the handbrake off of a creativity that was always there deep down. This lifting of inhibitions after a brain injury occurred in a famous historic case from the 1840s, involving an American railroad builder called Phineas Gage.
They were laying down railway tracks, and to do that, they needed to have timed explosions to go through the rock faces. But unfortunately, there was an explosion that went off before it should have done, and what happened is a tamping iron, about an inch thick, flew up, went through his cheek, came out the top of his head. Amazingly, he didn't die. Part of that was because the iron bar was so hot as it was going through his face that it sealed a lot of the blood vessels. The remarkable thing was that afterwards Phineas Gage could talk, walk, see, remember, count, do all of those things that we kind of think are very human. And initially, people thought, oh, that bit of the brain in the front can't be that much use. But eventually, they started seeing that Phineas Gage's behaviour had changed remarkably. He went from being a very organised, reliable, financially astute, church-going person to someone who's incredibly unreliable, started doing socially inappropriate things, urinating in public, swearing, etc. And what we've seen over and over again is that when there's damage in certain parts of the front of the brain, we get the same thing happening. And what that tells us is that the front of the brain is the manager, which keeps behaviours down that we wouldn't ordinarily have. And when that is released, we call that a loss of inhibition, which allows you to do the things that usually society tells you not to, or you yourself tell you can't do. And then you're able to experiment.
Alan's brain trauma was much less damaging than Phineas Gage's. But in line with other people with sudden artistic output, his injury may have lifted his inhibitions enough to make him try out art.
Have you found that in other aspects of your life, you might be a bit different as well?
Yeah, I mean, the inhibition thing. I went to the Tate in London, and I can remember when it really came home to me how important painting is. I walked into this room and there was a huge canvas on each wall.
Yeah.
It was just so powerful. I just broke down in tears.
Really?
There and then in the middle of the gallery.
I think the fact that you started crying again, is that a lack of inhibition. We get programmed in a way, and all of that program is happening here. It's the what I can do, what I can't do, what is appropriate, etc. And that's been released. The inhibition is gone, and it allows you to really go for it.
So, Dr. Jansari thinks that Alan's neural trauma might have triggered this very rare condition known as sudden artistic output. A lifting of the inhibitions that prevent many of us from even trying to be creative in the first place.
Some of the things he was saying, I must admit, did hit home. Since my illness, yeah, I've obviously been looking for answers to questions like that. And I'm convinced now that releasing those inhibitions is the answer to creativity.
So are your thoughts unique? Pete doesn't think so. He's about to attempt to tap into your imagination.
Here's a little experiment you can play along with at home. It should work for most people, so hopefully it works for you. Here's what I want you to do. In your head, I want you to think of two simple shapes, one inside the other. So for example, you could think of a square within a square, except make both of the shapes different to each other, make it more interesting. Okay, so firstly, for the first shape, I want you to try and get an image of that shape in your head now. Got one? And then around that, a second shape. Good. Now, if this has worked, you should be thinking of a triangle and a circle.
We've seen how our brains can prevent us from achieving our full potential. To look even closer at how our brains can block creativity, I want to test out some research done by cognitive scientists. And to do it, I've come to one of the places in Britain best known for the creation of brilliant ideas.
So what are we doing in a pub?
It's been shown that certain creative problem-solving tasks can be improved when you consume alcohol. Alcohol can have an effect on creativity.
And that's why we're in the pub.
And that's why we're in the pub.
So can drinking alcohol really improve our creativity? Catherine Francis, a psychologist from the University of Plymouth, has a series of tests that will help us find out.
So we're going to do a creative problem-solving task now. I'm going to show you 3 words, and I want you to tell me the word that's logically linked to those 3 words. Ready? Let's do it.
So which word fits with aid, rubber and wagon? You can play along at home if you like.
Bang.
Yeah, nice.
Finding the missing linking word tests my brain's ability to create new ideas in my head that weren't there before.
Common.
Yes, well done. Animal, back, rat.
Back, run back? No. I genuinely can't get that. I have no idea.
Okay.
Stone cold sober, I got 2 out of 3 correct. Not bad. Next, as a control test, a non-creative task. Again, without drinking a drop. I have to memorise 5 words, shown one at a time, with a Roman numeral sum to distract me between each one. Let's see if I can recall them all.
It's hungry sewage aquarium addict, and I've missed one behind.
Yes, that was correct.
Great, I'm feeling happy. What's next?
You've done all the tasks now without drinking, so now you're going to drink 1 pint, and we're going to try the test again, and we're going to see how you do on them again.
All right, cheers.
Cheers.
Strictly in the name of science, I drink a pint. Unsociably fast, even for me. The alcohol from the beer enters my bloodstream, altering my brain chemistry, changing the tempo with which electrical messages are sent between the neuron.
Some 0.7, what does that mean?
Wow. The study that used this task before actually found that at 0.7 blood alcohol level, you should be at optimal performance for creative problem solving.
I am willing and able and most definitely ready.
Has the beer made me more creative? What's the linking word this time?
Fish, mine, rush.
Gold.
Pie, luck, belly.
Pot.
Change, circuit, bread.
Short.
Excellent.
3 out of 3. On the creativity test, I was better after a bit of booze. Now the control test again, which assesses my non-creative, analytical and memory skills. This time, I can definitely tell it's more difficult.
Oh dear. Industrial was first, furry was last, and in between...
The booze has clearly affected my non-creative skills.
God, that's embarrassing. Okay, so I've done my 1 point analytical test.
So now we're going to see what happens when your blood alcohol levels get really high.
Well, that sounds good.
So, if 1 pint improved my creativity, will another turn me into a creative genius?
Down the hatch.
I can certainly feel the effects of the alcohol.
Ooh, 1.3.
So now you're well over the driving limit and you're almost double what you were at your optimal stage. So should we find out how you perform now? Sandwich, house, golf.
Ploughman's.
Light, birthday, stick.
Glow? No. Stick party, sounds a bit rubbish. Pass! I give up, I have no idea.
Amazingly, just 1 extra pint, and the creativity that was released by the first drink has gone straight down the drain. As for the memory and analytical tests,
badge.
Hopeless.
Ah, no idea.
My memory and analytical skills were better when I was sober.
No, what was the one before?
And my brain could pay clear attention to the task. 2 pints of beer clearly does nothing for my brain skills, but the intriguing finding here was my creative performance after just 1 pint.
What's interesting is when you hit that optimal alcohol blood level that we talked about, you actually performed the best. And you got all of them right in the shortest amount of time.
It's thought that because a small amount of alcohol makes us less able to focus and concentrate, it actually allows our unconscious mind to roam free and find the linking word more creatively. Instead of trying to sledgehammer the problem with methodical thought alone.
Well, that was a fascinating experiment that really put my brain through its paces. Just a shame for my poor old head the morning after.
Here's Pete with an exercise that will create new pathways in your brain as you give it something entirely new to experience. First, cross your legs, right leg over left. Draw a clockwise circle with your toes. Now the tricky bit. With your right hand, draw the number 6 in the air. Now your foot will probably try to change direction, but keep practicing. Your brain has to connect conflicting actions that have probably never been performed together before. It's a similar state to what happens every day when we solve problems or create something new out of our imagination. New pathways are forged in our brain between ideas we'd never connected before. This normally happens without us realizing, but Pete's demo makes the process very obvious. Cheers, Pete.
What does the latest neuroscience tell us about how the human brain actually does creativity? Early research suggests that if you scan a brain of someone who's improvising jazz or freestyling rap in a scanner, you'll find that there are 3 key systems involved.
The first system involves brain regions that keep our attention locked on the task at hand. These need to be dampened slightly. The second system, deep in the valley that separates the frontal and temporal lobes, draws our attention to interesting things happening around us. That needs to go up in activity. The third system involves 2 areas on the inner surface of the brain, and they're involved in vividly imagining things in our mind's eye. That also needs to be cranked up. When these brain networks are fine-tuned in this way, it seems to produce the perfect conditions for creativity.
If you want to put yourself in that state of mind, It's partly to do with loosening your control over what you do. Allow yourself to entertain unusual thoughts. Expose yourself to interesting sights, interesting sounds, and allow your imagination to run free. As children, we get that for free. We are incredibly imaginative, but as we get older, our imagination is quenched.
The more time you spend using your imagination, the more its skills develop. So give it a go. I mean, what have you got to lose? Time to go back to Alan, our ex-double glazing fitter who some years ago had a paralysing neural episode which amazingly left him with a talent and appreciation for art he never had before.
Pre-illness times, well, I would have just scooted right round these, but now it's like a magnet pulling me in. I just can feel the hairs on the back of my neck stand up.
Alan's creative awakening may well have been due to the damage in brain areas that handle inhibition. The constraints and barriers that we develop through experience that control and limit our thoughts and behaviour. He's come to meet curator Victoria Osborne at Birmingham Museum and Art Gallery. Now that Alan's discovered more about his condition, he's revisiting some of his favourite paintings to see if he can uncover why he's so drawn to them.
I'm pretty sure because my inhibitions have disappeared, I've learned to be in touch with my feelings and emotions. You can sense it, can't you? You can sense the love coming from the artist, the way he's portraying her.
He looks at her with such a lot of intensity.
He's spilling out his emotions. To me, it really comes through in the paintings.
These were really revolutionary young artists. They looked at the art of their own day and they found a lot of it trivial and conventional, that they'd lost sight of real emotion and real authenticity in terms of their subjects.
Just like Alan, these artists were able to put aside their inhibitions to produce new works that were a creative leap from anything that had come before them and broke with convention. For Alan, the inhibitions lost after his brain trauma revealed an artistic streak that he thinks may have been suppressed from an early age.
When you're a child, when you're a small child, you know, I've looked at my own kids growing up and they've got no inhibitions about painting. They're so happy that it just pours out of them and they come to you and show you the picture. But of course, as they get to school, the friends are ridiculing, even the teachers. And so you then start to bury it.
Many of us will be familiar with this kind of inhibition that we somehow develop over the course of childhood. But there's another type of inhibition that we have no control over that's thought to be important in artists' brains.
Once you get into the painting, you start to take the drawing further than what is actually really there.
Known as latent inhibition, it's the ability of the brain to filter out certain stimuli around us that aren't important to whatever we're up to at the moment. Helpfully, this stops us being constantly distracted. But artists' brains are thought to do less filtering and pay more attention to things that others might overlook, meaning that when they sit down to create, they have more in their minds to draw upon.
You change what's in front of you almost so that it's not real, but it makes it more real, so you exaggerate some areas.
I take the basics from life, but I exaggerate. I always put feelings from myself and I stylize it. At the end of the day, it could look like a model, but not exactly.
When greeted with a blank canvas, artists become highly focused. It's all about the paper, their subject, and their brain. And they can then use the resource of all their extra observational capacities to create new ideas that surprise and stimulate the rest of us. While the more analytical amongst us are more likely to attempt to recreate an accurate depiction of what we see before us, artists are much more open to breaking with convention, interpreting their subject in ever new and abstract ways. And when they're in the zone, it's a state they find incredibly satisfying.
It is just that immersion into what you're doing and cutting everything else out.
Your brain almost shuts down. There's nothing else. It's just the canvas, the paint, and the person you're painting or the thing you're painting.
I am in a different planet. I'm not here. It's an amazing experience, really, to feel in that way.
Their brains are in a state known as creative flow, where neural activity mirrors the levels observed when we're asleep or daydreaming. But at the same time, the artists are energized and feel completely absorbed in what they're doing. It's a state associated with great creativity, but also with genuine benefits to our health and stress levels. Something Alan is now familiar with.
Recommended to everybody, without the illness, of course.
No.
Get rid of the inhibitions. Don't worry about what people say or think about your painting. If you listen to your head will be saying, "Whoa, stop! You can't paint." People are going to laugh. But if you paint from the heart and you block out all those noises, then anything's possible.
Creativity is an amazing human trait which sets us apart from other species. We're all creative, capable of generating novel thoughts and new ideas, putting them into action and expressing them in incredibly diverse ways. You may think you can't be creative, but that's probably because your inhibitions are preventing you from reaching your creative potential. And the remarkable story of Alan gives us insight into how much creativity is lurking just under the surface in all our brains. My name is Dr. Jack Lewis. I'm a neuroscientist, and I'm on a journey to understand everything there is to know about the human brain.
The human brain is the most complex part of our body. Many mysteries remain about how this most vital of vital organs controls every aspect of our lives. But over the last few decades, our knowledge has expanded in leaps and bounds.
That was a shock to the system.
Now we're getting ready to push it to the limits, finding out how our brains react to unusual conditions and surprising challenges.
This is the strangest experience of my life.
Let's do it.
I'm setting out on a journey. A journey to meet some people with remarkable neurological conditions.
One of the most common questions is, how is it wired to your brain?
That give us a unique insight into the inner workings of the brain.
I discovered people who are able to remember almost every day of their life.
In this episode, Wakey Wakey, it's all about sleep.
No! Get out!
I'll meet two people whose uncontrollable urge to sleep dominates their lives.
I fell asleep in swimming pools.
What?
Yes.
In the pool?
In the actual pool twice.
I was asleep for years, like a good couple of years.
We'll be hosting our very own sleep deprivation lab.
Are you ready? You got 16.
So it's about 5:40 a.m. now.
I'll be getting a very strange night's sleep.
My first experience of a sleep lab is going really well.
And I'll be joined by Pete Heat, who'll be finding out how awake you are.
What's going on deep inside your head? Join me to uncover the secrets of the brain. Chin chin.
How do you usually feel when you wake up? Fresh as a daisy, ready to leap out of bed? Or does the alarm send you straight into hiding back under the duvet?
We spend a third of our lives in a state of unconsciousness. But the reason for sleep has long been an enigma to neuroscience. We all know that a lack of sleep can leave us feeling grumpy or foggy-headed. But did you know it can also affect your looks, your health, your memory, your sex life, and even your ability to lose weight? Sleep is vital to well-being, and if you don't get enough of it, there's a price to pay. And what better man to take advantage of that groggy morning feeling than magician Pete Heat.
Would you consider yourself to be like a morning person or more of an evening person?
Definitely morning.
A morning person, okay, good, all right. So you're feeling pretty alert right now, you're in your prime, you're at your peak. You had a coffee? No, okay, you need to get this woman a coffee. The reason I ask, we're going to play kind of a game, okay, and it's a sort of an observation test, okay, to see how alert you are, how awake you are. Have you ever seen that game that people do on the street sometimes where they have 3 cards on a little table and they mix the cards around really quickly and you have to sort of try and follow one of the cards? It's based on that, okay, so you know what I'm talking about? Yeah, okay, so we're just going to use 2 cards though. The first card, Queen of Diamonds, and I'm going to get you to just hold on to that in your left hand for me, perfect. Okay, so all you need to remember for the whole kind of game is which card you're holding, okay? Do you remember what it was?
Yep.
What is it?
Queen of Diamonds.
Right, you can check if you want, I haven't changed it. Yeah, it's still there? Okay,
I
good.
believe you.
All right, good. You shouldn't, I'm a cheat and a liar. But no, Queen of Diamonds, yeah, then you've just checked, so you know that. Okay, so I've got a very similar card, but I've got the Queen of Hearts, okay? So Diamonds, Hearts. Which one have I got?
Queen of Hearts.
Correct. Okay, so it's pretty easy so far. But I'm going to try and confuse you, and hopefully you'll forget which one it is that you're holding eventually, right? So it's diamonds for now, obviously, right? So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to firstly just swap them over like this. So which one have I got here?
Queen of Diamonds.
Correct. Okay. Yep. And then the last thing is this one. So I've got diamonds, and if I just do this, without looking at that, what would you bet on? So without looking at that, would you say that? Actually, would you say that that's switched then? Or would you say that I just pretended to do something and didn't actually switch it? What would you say?
Just pretended.
Okay, so you're still holding, I can't remember.
Hearts.
You're still holding hearts, yeah, that's what it was, right? So hearts, diamonds, yeah? Okay, good, all right. Are you pretty confident in that?
No.
No. I'll tell you what, turn them over. Turn your whole hand over.
Oh my gosh.
No, mate. No, it's impossible. No, it's impossible.
How did he do that? I'm still awake in it.
Did you see it?
No, I didn't see it. No, I was watching his hands the whole time and just didn't see anything.
He just touched it and it changed to like clothes.
He told me to concentrate as well. I was, so it was very strange.
I'm alert, but he did not take that from my hand. I didn't feel it anyway.
Pete's trick is based on his ability to divert attention and distract you. The worse you've slept, the easier it'll be for him to do it. Just imagine the kind of tricks Pete could play if you haven't slept at all.
So we know how things should work when it comes to going to sleep. We lie down, relax, and the brain does all the rest. But what happens if we don't let it go to sleep at all?
I want to see firsthand the direct effects of losing just one night's sleep. Can't be that bad, right?
For the next 12 hours, 5 human guinea pigs are going to be staying in the Secrets of the Brain Sleep Lab. Or perhaps more appropriately, the Sleep Deprivation Lab, because we're going to be keeping them up all night in order to see what effects that has on their brain.
Joining me is sleep expert Dr. Peter Venn.
So behind we've got 5 lovely people who've volunteered to allow us to sleep deprive them tonight. And right now they've been awake for about 12 hours. In 12 hours' time, they'll have been awake for 24 hours. So what are the tests that we're actually going to do?
So what we're going to do is to put them through the same test tonight and tomorrow morning. So they'll act as their own controls. So if you're good at a test tonight, when you do it tomorrow morning, we'll see what has changed in you.
So, on to the first round of tests. It's not my guinea pig's usual bedtime yet, so they should still be on the ball.
So this test is incredibly easy. All you have to do is walk in a straight line. The only twist is you have to do it blindfolded.
This looks at our spatial awareness. That's our ability to know where we are, where we want to go, and how to navigate between the two. This seemingly simple skill relies on many parts of the brain working in unison.
Here we have a straightforward ruler. I'm going to suspend it above your thumb and forefinger. I'm going to drop it at an unexpected moment, and your job is to catch it before it hits the ground. Are you ready?
The ruler drop tests for alertness, which is modulated by a structure deep in the brain called the reticular activating system. The more alert we are, the quicker we'll catch it.
And
93.
Next up is a test of the student's cognitive function,
79.
controlled by the prefrontal cortex and parietal cortex.
60.
These enable us to perform calculations like counting back in sevens from 100.
7.
93.
Combining intellect with precision muscle control, courtesy of the cerebellum, you should be able to tackle our tricky tongue twisters without tripping over your own lips.
How much wood would a woodchuck chuck if a woodchuck could chuck wood?
How much wood would a woodchuck chuck?
If a woodchuck could chuck wood.
Freshly fried flying fish, freshly fried flesh.
Freshly fried frying fish.
Freshly fried flesh.
Right, test's over. Time for me to find out more about sleep.
Sleep is a very interesting concept. I mean, until about 15, 20 years ago, people just regarded sleep as an absence of wakefulness. But of course, we know far more about it now.
So why do we sleep?
We think that sleep has two main functions. It seems to be restorative as far as the brain's concerned, and it also seems to organise the brain sort of to what we need to keep in memory and consolidate, what we need to throw out that we don't really need in experience. And if we don't get enough sleep, one of the consequences we know is that health suffers.
Like, what is the recommended dose of sleep on average in the world these days?
You are most likely to survive if you get 7 to 8 hours sleep a night. We know that people who sleep less than 6 hours a night are probably going to go on to develop high blood pressure, cardiovascular disease, and type 2 diabetes. And these things develop chronically if you're deprived over many years into diabetes with all the cardiac risks.
When we're sleep deprived, what kind of brain abilities start to malfunction?
So we've got three areas of the brain to think about. The cognitive function, which is the first thing that becomes impaired.
70.
28.
No.
5.
10. 3. 0.
And then we have other parts as well, so memory can be impaired. And then the third thing that can suffer is connected with alertness.
Nice.
And all these three different functions start to show deprivation when we are sleep deprived. One of the things that happens is that sleep deprivation acts very like having alcohol or very like having sedative drugs. And in fact, there are sort of layers in the brain that you can look at shutting down both with drugs, alcohol, and with sleep deprivation.
To make sure our discussion doesn't send our volunteers to sleep, it's time to leave them to it.
Okay, guys, the time is 11:15. We've got your baseline levels on all those different tests, so I'm going to leave you to it. Don't forget, sleeping is cheating. We really do need you to stay awake until the morning comes. But you also can't drink coffee or booze. That would also count as cheating. So I'll see you all in the morning, all right? Good luck. Have a good night.
I'll be back with Dr. Venn in the morning to see how they fare at the exact same tests after a sleepless night. So how did you sleep last night? Have a look at this and pay attention to what Pete's doing very carefully. I want you to count how many times this pack of cards is shuffled. That was one. Here comes the next. What number of shuffles are you up to now? Around about 4? Well, actually, that wasn't the real test. You might think you're feeling perfectly alert. Whilst you were watching, we changed 4 things that Pete was wearing. He took off his bracelet, his watch, his hanky, and his scarf. Did you catch all that? Thanks, Pete.
We all have the occasional night of fitful sleep, whether it's because we're excited, anxious, jet lagged, or maybe even looking after a new baby. But we can usually be confident of catching up at some point. For some, however, a good night's sleep is a distant memory.
27-year-old Michael Dawson and 18-year-old Amelia Bay have both been diagnosed with severe sleep disorders. But their condition involves more than just a disturbed night's sleep. It leaves them continually on the verge of sleep throughout the day. Narcolepsy is a rare brain disorder that causes a person to suddenly fall asleep at inappropriate times. As well as falling asleep suddenly and without warning, people with the condition might also suffer a temporary loss of muscle control called cataplexy, which is often triggered in response to strong emotional experiences like laughter and anger. Amelia's narcolepsy came on so suddenly that life for her and her family changed overnight.
Came on at 12 and a half, very severely, very quickly. A short illness of a general flu.
I was asleep for years, like a good couple of years I was asleep. For when I'd wake up, it would just be for the toilet or something to eat. My education and socialising just went down the drain because I just had no energy whatsoever. My cataplexy was the worst, and I think that's what made us notice that there was something wrong. I would start laughing and my knees would like buckle and like my head was going, and I'd be eating and falling asleep in my food.
At that point, I was very, very frightened. I had to shadow her everywhere, from going up the stairs. If she went in the shower, the door would have to be left open. It affected the whole family, basically, our grandparents. It breaks the heart.
Most cases of narcolepsy begin after the person suffers an assault on the immune system, like a viral infection. Brain cells in the hypothalamus then get attacked by the immune system, which loses the ability to manufacture hypocretin, which regulates sleep. Michael and Amelia are both under the care of Dr. Paul Redding, President of the British Sleep Society and one of the world's leading neurologists specialising in sleep disorders.
People with narcolepsy are deemed as being a bit maybe lazy or sleepy after lunch, for example, but in fact, in its full-blown form, it's a disabling condition. So it affects every aspect of life. It tends to affect young people, so their social development is affected, their schooling is affected. People tend to end up with boring jobs, so they fall asleep and get the sack quite easily. And most patients have a never-ending cycle of underachievement with narcolepsy. It really is a disabling condition.
Narcolepsy usually begins between the ages of 15 and 25, but it can become apparent at any age. In many cases, narcolepsy is undiagnosed and therefore untreated. Whilst Amelia has had to adjust to her narcolepsy since childhood, Michael has only just been diagnosed. I want to find out what it's like to suddenly have this condition, so I've arranged to meet him and hear firsthand how he's coping.
How you doing?
You good?
Michael, right?
Yeah, very well.
I'm Jack, pleased to meet you.
Good to meet you.
So, here we are at the bowling.
Here we are.
Nice and bright, nice and noisy.
I like it.
I understand that's pretty useful.
It is, yeah. Dark rooms are a problem for me, so yeah. Lighter the better, louder the better.
So tell me about narcolepsy. What does it involve?
Narcolepsy, it's fighting the urge to sleep. So you know when you're always dropping off? So you can either like let it win, well, most of the time, depends on the situation if it wins. I think the more my brain's engaged, it helps.
How long has the cataplexy been going on for?
Well, but since I got diagnosed as narcoleptic.
So it sounds like it's a concern for you.
Cataplexy is a major worry in my life, yeah. So I've got a 1-year-old daughter, you know.
Michael's cataplexy is triggered by emotional events.
I've worked since I was 17, so obviously there's been moments when I've been sleepy and people would say to me, oh, you can fall asleep anywhere. I fell asleep in swimming pools.
What?
Yes.
In the pool?
In the actual pool twice, on 2 separate occasions. So you can have like mild attacks, so I could be like watching a comedy, I could laugh and you know my jaw would drop or I'd shake like this, or you can have bad attacks, which I've had plenty. Most of my attacks have been on stairs, so if I crawl upstairs now. My partner's on it, like, she's getting used to attacks. She can see when I'm going to have an attack, and she literally, like, will rugby tackle me to make sure that I don't bang my head. You know what I mean? She'll get me down to the floor in any way it means possible.
Oh, wow.
To save me.
What a heroine.
Yeah, she's a hero, man.
For Michael's doctor, His form of narcolepsy displays the classic signs of a chaotic sleep-wake cycle. Most of us would only reach deep sleep, otherwise called REM sleep, after around 90 minutes.
So this pattern that we see here is very typical for someone with narcolepsy. Over 24 hours, sleep-wake chaos. This is something that Michael reports and is very typical. So in normal people, we have a nice sleep-wake cycle here. Wakefulness during the day, maintained, and overnight a very orchestrated pattern of deep non-REM and REM sleep here shown in the blue bars. Then we fast forward to narcolepsy, and this is basically 24/7 sleep-wake chaos. So no discernible pattern to the sleep architecture, and during the day we have lots of daytime naps in which there are REM sleep intrusions, which there shouldn't be. It should take at least an hour to go into REM sleep, but this person's going to REM sleep very quickly in his naps as well as during his overnight sleep. So that really sums up narcolepsy, sleep-wake chaos.
For Michael, it's about learning to live with this rare condition. But coming up, we'll see how fellow sufferer Amelia has found an unusual way to try and control her sleep attacks.
What Michael's condition shows us is that if our brain's ability to regulate sleep goes wrong, it can have life-changing consequences. But how does a normal night's sleep start for the rest of us?
When we go to sleep, the brain doesn't just shut down in one go like a computer. In fact, it puts us to sleep in a series of stages. Sleep starts in two areas of the brain that produce deep or slow wave sleep. When certain groups of cells in the hypothalamus and the brainstem switch on, it triggers a gradual loss of consciousness.
If it works well, and your sleep cycles are allowed to play out for the correct amount of time, you should wake up feeling fresh and alert.
Have a look at this. We're worried Pete Heat's been looking a bit tired, so we've decided to test his alertness. Read this sentence carefully. Pete didn't spot it, and most people don't. Have another look. If you notice that the word "the" appears twice, you're particularly alert. So what have we found out so far? Michael and Amelia's condition and our own ability to stay alert and awake illustrates that sleep is a complex and ever-changing process carefully orchestrated by the brain. And it's something that we should not take for granted.
Our poor student guinea pigs are going to miss a whole night's sleep, so we can find out how much sleep deprivation affects our brain's ability to function. But is it the length of that sleep that's important, or is there more to it?
I want to find out what happens in those mysterious 8 hours when the lucky ones amongst us are out for the count. So while they stay wide awake, I'm off to Dr. Ven's sleep lab for a good night's kip. All in the name of science, you understand.
Oh, Jack.
Hello, how you doing?
Nice to see you again.
So I don't know why I'm surprised that this feels like a hospital, because I thought it was a sleep lab, but I guess you treat people that have sleep disorders. What can I expect from tonight?
Well, we are going to take you down to your bedroom, start to wire you up, do a lot of monitoring. We're going to look at your brain waves, which we can analyse to tell when you're awake and when you're asleep, what type of sleep you're in, whether you're dreaming or not. We're going to record movements, record your breathing, record some things about your heart and your cardiovascular system, how well you sleep, and whether there's anything disrupting your sleep at any time during the night, which can all be analysed by very clever people who can write a report and tell us just how well you slept.
I guess there's only one way to find out.
Time for me to get wired up with the help of sleep technician Slavka Chudovska.
Dr. Ven tells me the more things you put on me, the better I'll sleep.
You feel more secure, so that's why maybe the people sleep better.
Oh, that's really interesting.
I'm having EMG electrodes stuck to my body, neck and face to monitor my muscle movements. EEG electrodes on my scalp to detect my brain waves.
I'm feeling Very sleepy.
And an ECG monitor for my heart. On top of all that, there's an oxygen saturation monitor on my finger and...
How do I look?
Excellent.
Last but not least, a nose contraption to keep track of my breathing. That's a lot of wires.
Keep your eyes closed for me for a second, please.
You are not joking. Oh, wait, you're going to cut me out again?
I'm going to cut the hole for your face, so keep your eyes closed still until I'll tell you, please.
This is the strangest experience of my life, bar none. So, my first experience of a sleep lab is going really well. It gets better. It's like some kind of strange waterproof duvet. Rustly, just the way I like it.
See you in a bit.
All the data taken from my body and brain over the next 8 hours will be fed directly into Slavka's computer, which will create a detailed profile of what's really happening to me whilst I sleep.
It looks like he went to sleep.
While I'm drifting happily off to the land of Nod, how are our sleep-starved students getting on?
It's 3:36 a.m. We just played a game of cards after watching TV for a while to see if that would help at all, just to actually use the brain a bit more than just lounging there. And I'm not sure if it did help much. I feel a little bit perkier now, but at the time, even at the table playing cards, I thought I was going to fall asleep on the table.
So it's about 5:40 a.m. now. I've been awake for... Oh, I don't actually know. My maths skills aren't very good right now. The urge to sleep is quite a nice feeling. I can't wait to get into my bed later, but that's another 6 hours away at least. I think I'm gonna have to get up and get my body moving so I don't lie down.
It's about 7:20 now and I'm not feeling that bad. It's gone up and down really throughout the night. I'm feeling a bit headachy and I'm mostly tired in my eyes, but I don't really feel like getting up and doing any experiments. But I found going outside for a couple of minutes helps, just to be cold because it's a bit warm in here. Sort of wakes you up a bit, and watching a scary film kind of made me a bit more alert.
I know I should be grateful, but it feels like my night's sleep is over all too quickly.
Good morning.
No! Get out! I haven't finished sleeping.
We could see you sleeping now in awake stage, so that's why we came to wake you up.
I don't feel at all well rested. I feel like a zombie.
Morning, Jack.
Dr. Van.
How did it go last night?
It was blissful.
Well, we'll tell you exactly when you dreamt and how much you dreamt. Can't tell you what you dreamt about. Do you know what you dreamt about?
Yeah, it involved my mum and Princess Diana. It was a bit strange.
Okay, well, we'll have a look at it all and we'll talk through some results.
Great.
Take it off your hair.
Oh, that is bliss.
Sorry about this.
Ow. Ah.
Sorry. Would you like some breakfast? Maybe tea, coffee?
Yeah.
Just time for a bite to eat and a quick shower before I meet Dr. Venn for a debrief. And I'm a little nervous about what he'll find.
Nice to see you.
How you doing? You
Come
well?
and have a seat and we'll have a look at your results.
So how did I do?
Well, we found some interesting results. How much sleep do you think you got? What was it like for you?
Tossing and turning all night. I got very little.
Really? Okay. There were long periods of time where you were awake and there were quite a lot of arousals from sleep. But you also had some good sleep and your sleep architecture was normal. So we can have a look through that if you like.
But what do you mean by sleep architecture?
So your sleep architecture are your phases and depths of sleep. So sleep is not just one thing. We used to think it was until about 50 years ago, but now we know that it has lots of depths and planes, and of course we go into dreaming sleep and non-dreaming sleep cyclically. So we have to put all that together like a jigsaw. And if it's not together like a jigsaw properly, you don't get the refreshment and the function out of sleep that you really need.
So were there any surprises in my data?
Well, there were, actually, yes, and we can have a closer look at those in a minute. Your breathing is not quite as good as it could be, and there were little patches where you snored, and there were 1 or 2 little patches where your breathing was actually compromised and you almost stopped breathing altogether. Now, people will snore more when they're on their back, but you did it on your side too, and there's one very good patch where you actually woke yourself up with that problem. And we've got all that documented.
Should I be worried about this?
No, not at this stage at all. This is simply not bad enough to require any treatment at the moment, but it's just something that we did find as an incidental finding. So, normal sleep architecture, you'll go to sleep, you'll go down into deep sleep, what we call N3 sleep, called delta waves. And you'll stay there for, hopefully, about 90 minutes. Then we come up to our first dreaming cycle. Then we may have some more deep sleep after that, and then we'll have a second dreaming cycle, and then most of the rest of the night is spent in dreaming and lighter sleep, stage 2 sleep. And that's why you can reduce your sleep time at the end, but you're still getting that deep sleep in the beginning, and you will then function well the next day. So if we shorten sleep, we still keep that deep sleep at the beginning, and that's very important.
I had one really strange dream. So the dream was quite emotional. I remember being very frustrated, and it was quite amusing as well because of the people involved. So I'm quite intrigued to know what was going on in my brain, body, and soul during the course of that dream.
You were awake here until just after 10:30 when you went off to sleep. You came up into your first dreaming period, which was around about 10 to 12, and you then dreamt fairly solidly until about 20 past 12, and at that point you woke up. We can tell what's happening from the shape of the brain waves, which look much more like they do when you're awake.
So after my big dream, what happened during the rest of the night?
Well, he went back to sleep after a short period of time. Now, this point here was very interesting because at 2 o'clock precisely, you woke up, suddenly moved onto your back, and shook your right leg violently.
I remember having to unravel myself a few times during the night.
Well, shall we have a look at it? Because this will show that point.
Do you beg to differ?
No, I don't think you're trying to untangle the wires there.
No, you're right.
I think this is going on in your sleep. And then more dreaming here, mixed with lighter sleep, before we terminated the study. So broadly, we could say that your sleep architecture is normal. You've got deeper sleep at the beginning, you've got lighter sleep mixed with dreaming for the second half of the study.
It's a relief to know I'm normal-ish, and incredible to find out how complex a night's sleep really is. I've genuinely learned a thing or two. But even with all that advanced equipment, Dr. Venn and his team were not able to tell me what happened during my dream. That's something personal that you can choose to tell or keep to yourself. That is, until Pete Heat came along.
Hello. We're going to do a little experiment now involving the subconscious, which sounds pretty dramatic and exciting. But basically, here I have something called a dream diary, which is a little notebook. And basically, the idea is with a dream diary, every morning when you wake up, you try and write down anything you can remember about the dreams you had. And it's a way of keeping track of, supposedly, what your subconscious is doing when you're asleep, so what your brain's up to when you're not aware of it. And this is mine, okay? I'm going to give this to you to hold on to for a second if I can, all right? And I'm going to get you, if you're up for it, to sort of have a dream of your own, or rather, I'm going to get you to imagine that you're dreaming. So, can I get you to close your eyes for me?
Yeah.
Yeah, brilliant. And I want you to imagine that you're just drifting off. You're in bed, you're just drifting off, you're starting to sleep, you're in a dream. So you look around you, and you're in some kind of location. You're, obviously you could be anywhere because it's your dream. You could be somewhere you've never been before. It could be somewhere every day, really common. Have you got somewhere?
Yeah.
Okay. Could you, in fact, yeah, go on, say it out loud for me.
Amsterdam.
You're in Amsterdam. Okay, cool. All right, so you're in Amsterdam. Okay, and imagine you're walking through Amsterdam, you stop because you've noticed something on the floor in front of you. It's an object of some kind. It could be anything. It could be a small object, a big object, anything you want. This is entirely up to you. But you pick it up, okay, and you look at it. What is it?
A wallet.
A wallet. Okay, cool. So you picked up a wallet in Amsterdam. But you look at it, there's not much in it. You put it back down on the floor again. So for some, I don't know why you do that, but you do. It's a dream. You can do whatever you want. And you carry on walking. And it's at this point that you look to your right and you notice there's an animal or a creature, there's some kind of living thing that you don't like the look of. For whatever reason, it's giving you the creeps. It doesn't have to be a scary animal, it could be something that just for whatever reason is creeping you out right now. But what is it? Have you got something in your mind already? Yeah.
Elephant.
An elephant, okay. So there's an elephant that's creeping you out in Amsterdam, of course. This is getting more and more random, which is good, because that's how dreams work. And so you look at this elephant, you don't like it, you start to walk away in the other direction, and as you walk away, you start to wake up. And as you wake up, open your eyes for me. Brilliant, okay. So we've just created a little weird, surreal combination of images in your head there. Okay, now this dream diary that you've been holding from the very moment we met, that's true, right? You genuinely, you've been holding it from the moment we met. It's only got one entry in it, in fact, and it's more of a prediction than a diary. It's just something that I thought might happen today. If you open that up for me, and just look on the first page, and could you read that out loud?
You're in Amsterdam, you stop to pick up a wallet, and you eventually get scared off by an elephant.
What the hell?
Walking through the dream, you stop to pick up a black notebook.
A black notebook.
And you wake up after seeing a tiger. What? I've been holding it. What? I don't know.
Come on, you got to tell me now.
No way.
So you are in Japan.
Japan, good.
You stopped to pick up some martial arts equipment.
Oh, close enough.
You were scared off by a panda.
I thought we'd like pick up on him trying to give us like hints of what to think.
Whatever she thought of, she just thought up on the spot, and then to have like a book that he'd been carrying around before we even started filming that had that in it is just so weird.
You know, the fact that I got a black notebook for Christmas.
Yeah.
That's why you were thinking about like how would that be.
I don't know. This is
When it comes to falling asleep, sometimes our brains take the driving seat, whether we like it or not. Okay, imagine you're driving a car and you're beginning to get very tired. We're mimicking what happens when you have a microsleep, an episode of light sleep lasting 5 to 10 seconds. In a monotonous situation like driving, the brain can go to sleep involuntarily, and you could start seeing things that aren't there, and missing things that are. In fact, pretty much everyone has experienced one of these episodes at some point in life, but we usually just pass it off and assume that we zoned out for a few seconds, when in actual fact, we were technically sleeping. When you're driving, the results can be fatal. It's estimated that almost 20% of accidents are sleep-related. So, be aware when it's happening to you, or you won't know what's real and what's in your head. Whether it really was a dog in the road, a children crossing sign, and child with a football, or if you were just dreaming. If you find yourself feeling really sleepy at the wheel, just stop what you're doing and grab some sleep.
Our guinea pigs have been awake now for over 24 hours. Not nice. So let's go and find out how they're doing.
I'm back with Dr. Venn.
Yeah, not too bad myself, yeah.
I'm like this lot.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's go and see what's happening.
Who's going to help me observe the changes in the student's ability to function.
Good morning. How you doing? Oh, bleary eyes. Thank you so much for doing this. Did you have a good night?
Not too bad.
I think the deprivation's showing.
So what did you do to keep yourself up all night?
Some ball games, cards, a few movies.
Can you bear to just give us one final hour, please, to do a bit of testing? Oh, that's really good of you. Okay, let's get going.
Time to repeat those same tests we did on them last night.
I feel like I could sleep for days and days. Light's very sensitive right now.
Just pretty drowsy, pretty lethargic, and my mind's definitely not up to speed. I tried to remember my phone number earlier, and that just didn't work, so...
Everything's slowly falling away. I would like this all to be over.
My head feels kind of foggy. My eyes feel really heavy.
Got like a dull ache and sort of pressure behind my eyes. I don't really want to do anything. I'm really glad I'm getting a taxi home.
The parts of the brain called upon to complete these tasks have clearly dropped in performance. The reason? Our brains rely on a type of sugar called glucose for fuel, but during sleep deprivation, the brain just doesn't get enough.
For me, our biggest hit in terms of comparing before and after the sleep deprivation in our tests was the reaction time with the ruler. You ready?
Yep.
Yep. On average, it was precisely 33% longer that it took them to grab the ruler. Does the size of the change surprise you at all?
No, I don't think so, not after a night's sleep deprivation. And there, of course, were 1 or 2 times where the ruler was dropped altogether, which didn't happen in the first test. So the hand-eye coordination was probably suffering a little bit as well.
Which brings us nicely onto the calculation, counting down from 100. Well, we switched it up, didn't we? We suspect that they've been practicing overnight, knowing that they're competitive young people. So some of them started on 101, some of them 102, some of them 103.
AC9.
6. 1.
4.
They all seem to do much worse than yesterday. I think they took longer to complete the calculation task than they did last night. But it was interesting that it seemed to sort of change over the course. They seemed to fatigue more quickly. What did you make of that?
Generally speaking, the accuracy was okay, but the time was quite severely delayed. There seemed to be a sort of progressive disengagement. They just didn't seem to want to go on. They were getting slower and slower. It's as though the brain was just running out of willpower to be bothered to do this any longer.
Yeah. So moving on, deviation from the line as they were walking down it. Last night, I was actually quite surprised by how accurately they walked down it. And then, of course, today, things were very different.
What was quite interesting was that, yes, they were much worse today. All except one of them actually deviated off persistently to the right-hand side, sort of indicating that they're not so interested in the left-hand side of what's going on in the world. The right-hand side seems to be more dominant. Well, that would suggest some sort of parietal function, and I think that's something that would be interesting to look at.
I was expecting them to fumble the tongue twisters a lot more than they actually did. And I definitely think that there was a bit of a training effect going on, which is why we added the curveball of a brand new tongue twister.
Give me the gift of a tip-top sock, a drip drape.
Ship shape. No, it's too low.
Ruby Rugby's brother bought and brought her back.
And brought her back some baby buggy bumper. Sorry, could I have it again?
Ruby's brother. What? Was that right?
And brought her back some baby.
Buggy bumpers. I don't remember it.
What were your sort of observations on that particular task?
I think there was a learning element to it. The 2 new curveballs that we threw in demonstrated that they were really unable to even memorize the sentence that they were trying to say. So it wasn't just a question of the fact that they couldn't get their tongues around the words so much, they couldn't remember the sequence of the words either. So actual memory seems to be impaired there as well as the ability to actually use speech sensibly.
So just as you predicted last night, that would be one of the first things to go, the prefrontal cortex was basically not functioning properly.
Time to release the students to their beds.
So our volunteers have now gone home. Probably right now they're curled up in bed, Is it going to take them a few days before their sleeping patterns go back to normal?
Well, we've disrupted their sleep for one night, and I suspect what's going to happen is they will probably be in bed now and they will sleep until about lunchtime or 2 o'clock this afternoon. They'll get up and go about their daily business, and they will go to bed tonight, and things will get fairly back to normal quickly because their circadian rhythm is fairly robust and they have a sleep-wake cycle which we've tried to disrupt, but only over a very brief period of time. More problems come where you work at night, and shift workers, of course, are the big example of this, and several nights in a row you are turning the world on its head, getting up at night and going to work and then coming home in the morning and going to bed. And I think we do have a problem in society with shift work and patterns of shift work, and we certainly see a lot of that in the Sleep Disorder Centre with deprivation of sleep and the consequences of it.
And of course, we've demonstrated some of these symptoms of sleep deprivation very nicely over the course of this experiment. So thank you very much. So there you have it. Sleep deprivation screws around with your reaction times, coordination, working memory, and mental arithmetic. But fear not, we're designed to deal with the occasional night of nocturnal disruption. It's only being robbed of sleep for several consecutive nights that severely knocks your day-night cycle out of kilter. And given all those nasty medical complications that result from chronic sleep deprivation, your brain really will thank you if you manage to crank up your sleeping time to 7 to 8 hours per night.
Our volunteers have just had an insight into life with disrupted sleep. For them, it's one night only. But for narcolepsy sufferers Amelia and Michael, this becomes a way of life. They're both under the care of Dr. Paul Redding.
Your sleep-wake cycle becomes unstable. You can't maintain wakefulness for more than a couple of hours, and you can't maintain the state of sleep for more than a couple of hours. And in particular, the REM sleep state is particularly disrupted. So elements of REM sleep, be it visual imagery of dreams or paralysis, will leak into the wakeful state to cause cataplexy and sleep paralysis, for example.
Sufferers face a long road ahead, living with their condition indefinitely in the hope that there may one day be a cure.
Now we know that it's a neurochemical deficiency in most cases. The options of replacing that chemical are coming forward, but unfortunately we haven't yet to achieve that goal. So far we haven't found the magic tablet.
But one of Dr. Redding's patients has found an unlikely way to make her condition disappear entirely. When her sister encouraged her to join an aerial acrobatics class, she made an amazing discovery.
I was really nervous at first to come because I was thinking, oh God, if I get up there and my cataplexy goes, I'll just fall.
A year and a half ago, she'd never left the house. So to come here 2-3 times a week sometimes is absolutely amazing. Cataplexy works on strong emotions. Now, if she had a cataplectic attack while she's hanging upside down from a hoop, she loses all control of her muscle. She could have fell. For some reason, when she does this, she never suffers with any sort of cataplexy at all, because I think she must be concentrating so much on her moves. She isn't getting any kind of strong emotion. She's just trying to do it so right. It helps her a lot with her condition.
From doing absolutely nothing all day to come in here, it was quite hard work, but when I don't go, I feel more exhausted. When with narcolepsy, like anything you do, you get more exhausted, but it gives us more energy to come here. It's like a positive energy. It's just like I'm in a trance and like I'm concentrating so hard that nothing really distracts us, and like it's really strange because as soon as I'm down and I'm laughing, I'm down on the ground again with my cataplexy.
Seeing her now and seeing what she can do, and they all come to the show when they do the shows here, it just feels like your heart would burst with pride because we've seen her at her very, very worst.
I started college this year and I'm on a level 3 art and design course. I'll be able to like resit my GCSEs and have the qualifications that I couldn't quite have when I was ill. I feel a lot more confident in myself, and it feels quite good actually. Like it kind of makes us proud of myself.
Now Amelia can hopefully look forward to a future where she's able, like the rest of us, to spend her days living her life to the full rather than sleeping them away.
So, did we keep you awake during the show? Will you think differently the next time your head hits the pillow?
Studies of this mysterious state of unconsciousness we call sleep are providing new clues about what it does for the body and mind. It not only refreshes and re-energizes, but cleanses the brain of toxins and supports learning and memory. In fact, if we make sure we get enough, it slows down age-related cognitive decline and even dictates how long we'll live. When the brain's finely tuned ability to control our sleep goes wrong, it can have life-changing consequences. Conditions like Amelia's are providing brand new insights into how and why our brains switch on and off in such precise patterns. Above all, research being carried out by sleep experts proves just how vital those 7 to 8 hours really are.
Together, these remarkable people are helping to bring us ever closer to unlocking the incredible secrets of the brain. My name is Dr. Jack Lewis. I'm a neuroscientist, and I'm on a journey to understand everything there is to know about the human brain.
The human brain is the most complex part of our body. Many mysteries remain about how this most vital of vital organs controls every aspect of our lives. But over the last few decades, our knowledge has expanded in leaps and bounds.
That was a shock to the system.
Now we're getting ready to push it to the limits, finding out how our brains react to unusual conditions and surprising challenges.
This is the strangest experience of my life.
Let's do it.
I'm setting out on a journey. A journey to meet some people with remarkable neurological conditions.
One of the most common questions is, how is it wired to your brain?
That give us a unique insight into the inner workings of the brain.
I discovered people who are able to remember almost every day of their life.
In this episode, I'll mesmerize your mind with an exploration of language.
Oh, that one's Booba.
That's Kiki.
Imagine if you woke up and found you could only speak a foreign language.
And I woke up from a coma speaking fluent French.
Or if everyone suddenly thought you were foreign, even when you're speaking your own language.
And the gentleman 2 seats back said, "Excuse me, are you visiting? Are you from Russia?" And I'm going, why do people keep telling me I sound strange?
We'll meet a language neuroscientist at the very frontier of her science who's putting her own brain through its paces.
March.
And magician Pete Heat casts a spell that could leave you speechless.
Matt's new Chukinaka.
What's going on deep inside your head? Join me to uncover the secrets of the brain. Chin chin. From the moment we wake up in the morning, we are bombarded with language. Be it a friendly hello from a neighbour, a newscaster on the television, or a text message from a friend. But how do our brains do it? Neuroscience has long been fascinated by the question of how our brains produce and understand speech, and it's only just beginning to unpick the finer details.
The human brain has a unique and extraordinary capacity for language that no other species on Earth is capable of. Whether we're speaking, reading, or writing, language enables us to express a seemingly infinite number of thoughts and ideas. In fact, some experts even believe that language itself is what makes us human. But language is an ability we sometimes take for granted, as magician Pete Heat is about to find out with some members of the public.
Have you ever been hypnotised before?
I haven't.
Would you like to be? Yeah, you sound convinced. Can you come closer to me? You guys stay where you are, but you come and stand about here. The reason I'm separating you is I don't want you girls to get hypnotised as well. I want this all to be focused on you. So you close your eyes for me. Okay. When you open your eyes in a second, not yet, but in a second when you open your eyes, you're not going to be able to read. Okay? Okay. Picture an alphabet, so you can see all the letters, and imagine them all. They all just start to mix up and jumble up until they're all entangled, and they kind of, yeah, basically not in the normal order. So imagine the letters just swimming around. You can keep your eyes closed for a second, actually. But I've got some cards here, like flashcards with different words printed on them. I'll show you guys in a second. Do you know that word?
Yep.
Okay, yeah, cool. And can you read out what you can see there?
Pirawalagat.
Okay, Pirawalagat.
Yeah, that's one.
Okay, cool, that's the one. Okay, cool. All right, let's try it. We'll do a couple more. You know that word?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. What does that say?
Esk. I can't pronounce that.
Say one more. That word you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. And if you could read that.
Matnu Chuklinaka.
Okay. If you could just read that out to me.
Kuchesny.
Okay, one more. This is the last one. All right.
Okay.
You know that word?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. And if you could just read out what you see there.
Apulos.
Apple sauce. Apple sauce. It's gibberish to me.
Okay, yeah. I'm going to count down from 3 to 1. On 1, you're going to be able to read again, okay?
Okay.
3, 2, 1. What does that say now?
Applause.
No? Woo, yeah.
Well, I thought I could read them. I just thought they were words I didn't know. I just thought they must have just been made up words or something like another language. But yeah, no, it's weird. Didn't like it.
It was coming off in gibberish to me. It was. I couldn't pronounce half the words.
I feel like we wouldn't be able to explain what just happened with the magician and how we felt about it if it wasn't for the language.
Well, well, if that happened to me, if that actually happened, if my reading capabilities were taken from me, then it would ruin my future.
Now, this may just be a cunning trick, but Pete makes an important point here. We rely so much on our ability to understand and interpret language that it's impossible to really imagine life without it.
Thanks to our sophisticated language skills, most of us can express ourselves and understand others effortlessly and efficiently every day. Pete's magic plays on how bewildering it can be when this process is interrupted. So just imagine losing the ability to speak or understand language.
I'm on my way to meet someone whose extraordinary story made headlines around the world and left neurolinguists baffled.
And I woke up from a coma speaking fluent French.
Impossible as it might sound, Englishman Rory Curtis came out of a coma speaking what was described as perfect French. This remarkable neural episode began after a terrible car accident.
I was doing a pickup for a company I used to work for. I don't really have any recollection of how it happened.
He suffered horrific injuries.
I had a traumatic brain injury. I was in a coma for 2 weeks.
Doctors discovered he'd suffered a complex brain hemorrhage. Blood vessels had burst inside his head and blood was leaking into his brain. Medics won the battle to save his life, but what happened next, no one could have expected. 4 years on from the accident, I'm meeting Rory to find out the rest of his story.
I don't remember much from waking up. People told me that I'd spoke fluent French.
You just woke up able to speak French?
Just woke up able to speak fluent French and no idea why. When people told me, I just thought they were making a joke out of me, making fun.
Amazingly, despite knowing very little French, when Rory came round, it was the only language he was able to speak.
So, how in the world did you manage to speak fluent French?
I have no idea.
That's an incredible story.
I didn't believe it at first, because C grade, year 9 student at 14 years old isn't the Einstein of speaking French, to be fair.
Rory's only real exposure to the French language was from a couple of years studying at high school, but the nurse at his bedside when he first came around was a native French speaker.
My parents told me that. One of the nurses went up to my parents and says, whereabouts in France are you from? And my mother's half Irish and my dad's British. She said, well, we've had a conversation with Rory last night, a good half-hour conversation of, it wasn't an Englishman speaking French. It weren't just a boy from school trying to speak his French.
Wow.
I know.
And this entire conversation took place in fluent French?
Fluent in a particular dialect from France.
Have you got any idea what you actually said?
I was just asking about why I was why I was at the hospital, what had happened to me, where my parents were.
So exactly the kind of things that one would expect a person to ask
yeah, exactly.
as soon as they wake up from a coma.
Exactly. Yeah.
Doctors and nurses were astounded. Given Rory's critical injuries, it's remarkable that he was even talking. But the big mystery now is, why in the world was it in French?
The most incredible thing about your story, for me, is that you somehow, through the brain injury and the coma, unlocked all of this vocabulary that you must have put in at a very young age, plus all of the rules and regulations as to how to string those words together in a way that makes a coherent conversation take place. It's utterly phenomenal.
When you learn a second language, the vocabulary and grammar appears to involve brain activations in a slightly different location to when you speak in your mother tongue. So perhaps Rory's brain trauma temporarily knocked out the key parts of his brain's native language capacity, and the French he'd once learned was then allowed to come to the fore.
Something that happened between the accident and being in the coma somehow unlocked this latent ability to speak a language.
Happily, Rory's made an amazing recovery. But what caused his temporary bilingual skills still hasn't been fully explained. So is Rory still able to speak perfect French?
So how's your French now?
Apparently, after speaking to her, I says good night to her in French. When I went back to sleep and woke up the next morning, I wouldn't even say I was speaking English again. I was like, in the sense that I was just slurring. So I went from speaking a fluent language in a particular dialect and having a perfect conversation to not even being able to speak English properly the next morning.
Rory's amazing experience shows us how damage to one part of the brain can potentially lead to increased activity in other areas, which can sometimes result in surprising and unexpected effects. But the reality is that recovery from brain injury can often leave patients facing a long journey to recover their use of language. Coming up, we'll meet someone afflicted with the unusual condition, foreign accent syndrome.
Some people will say I'm French, German, Lithuanian, Hungarian, Russian, and when I say where I'm from, they still don't believe.
What Rory's unusual experience suggests is that just maybe different brain areas are used for storing our everyday language and a second language. And that has inspired some fascinating research.
Neuroscientists are using new techniques to probe how the human brain processes language. From the basic level of constructing words from their root letters and sounds, to the more complex task of composing sentences.
How much wood would a woodchuck chuck if a woodchuck could chuck wood?
Before we explore the latest cutting-edge research, there's an intriguing test that demonstrates just how intuitively we recognize our primary language.
Thanks for agreeing to have a go at our little demos. This is all about speech and language and such like. All I need you to do, without thinking very hard about it, is to just quickly read through these paragraphs. Read it out loud.
Out loud?
Yep.
Please allow me to let you in on one of the most amazing secrets of the brain. Language is such a powerful tool in the human mind. The words can be jumbled up and yet they still appear clear to our brains.
She's making a pretty good go of it, but just look at what she's reading. The letters are a complete jumble. How about paragraph 2?
It doesn't matter what all the letters in the words are. The only important thing is that the first and last letters are in the right place.
The effect is quite startling. Amazingly, as long as the first and last letters of the word are in the correct position, we recognize them almost instinctively.
The rest can be a total mess and you can still read it without problem. This is because we don't read every letter.
The grammar and context of the words also adds a lot. So if you're fairly fluent in the language, you barely even notice how jumbled up the words are.
This is because we don't read every letter by itself, but the word as a whole.
Well done. It's like you shouldn't be able to get that first up, but then when you're reading it, it's just you get it. Apart from that one word I missed, but yeah, you get it completely.
There was no magic or trickery. This is just your brain doing what it does naturally, so brilliantly.
Yeah.
Are you impressed with yourself?
I am very impressed with myself.
So you should be.
Have a go yourself. See how easily you can read these cards. So what does the jumbled up words test actually show us? Well, it suggests that the human mind identifies the overall shape of the word form more than the order of the individual letters themselves. This has led to the idea that children learning to read should be taught to recognise whole word forms as well as their component letters and sounds. The words we write down and say to each other are basically symbols that we use to represent things, thoughts and ideas which allow us to express ourselves.
Language is basically our way of communicating with each other using abstract symbols. So we can often think of language in terms of speech, but we know, for instance, when people are deaf, that you can actually speak using your hands and so on. So language isn't just about hearing and moving the mouth, it's actually something far more abstract about that. We can think of language really as transferring ideas from one person's head into somebody else's head.
But how have the words we've traditionally used to symbolise different thoughts or concepts come into being in the first place? Here's two new concepts, two shapes to be specific. They each have names. One is called Booba and the other is called Kiki. Which do you think is which? Although the words are made up and the shapes don't represent anything in particular, a remarkable 95% of people name the pointy shape Kiki and the curvy one Booba.
All you have to do is just say, and there's no right or wrong answer, which is which out of these two.
I think that one's Booba.
That's Kiki. That's Booba.
Kiki and Booba.
Amazingly, no matter where the test is done in the world or in what language, the Booba Kiki effect seems to hold. And this effect isn't just limited to shapes. Let's see what happens when we present our volunteers with different tasting food and drinks.
Booba Kiki.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting. Why?
Because it's sharper. It's got edges to its texture.
Which name goes best with which fluid?
Same again. That one's Kiki, and that one's Booba.
Kiki, well, it's sharp and explosive, just kind of like sparkling water.
Now let's try the chocolate. Go ahead, whichever one you want to try first.
That one's Kiki.
Yeah?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was more crunchy. I'm going to go with, so that gets the Kiki, because it's more crunchy, and Kiki sounds more brittle, the word.
The word Booba, whether it's the sound that it makes when you utter it, or whether it's how you imagine it being written, B-O-U-B-A, big rounded letters, somehow that naturally lends itself to a softer cheese like brie, to still rather than sparkling water, to milk chocolate rather than the more brittle, bitter dark chocolate.
Intriguingly, this may suggest that the world's thousands of languages, developed over many millennia, didn't emerge at random. Human brains attach consistent meaning to certain sounds. The Booba Kiki demonstration reveals the complexity of the neural processes involved in how we use words.
Freshly fried flesh.
To dig deeper, I now want to find out which areas of the brain are most important when we use language. So I've come to meet Dr. Magdalena Slowinska.
Hey Magda, how you doing?
Hello, Jack. I'm fine. How are you?
Very well, thank you. Thanks for having us in your lab.
She's going to help me pinpoint exactly where language, and in particular speech production, takes place in the brain.
What we know now is that there are many, many brain regions that are involved in language. And it depends on the language process that you are interested in, whether it's speech or comprehension or reading, that different parts of the brain light up.
Magda can help us to demonstrate that the different aspects of language are taken care of by quite separate parts of the brain, using an astonishing technique called TMS, or transcranial magnetic stimulation.
I've never actually touched a TMS machine before, so I know that somehow a magnetic field is produced via this amazing device, but how does it actually work?
Sure. So a very strong current is sent by the main body of the TMS machine, and it goes through the coil to temporarily and non-invasively disrupt neural information processing.
TMS is a relatively recent innovation that can stimulate brain cells, specifically neurons, in the outer layer at the surface of the brain just beneath the skull. Neurons communicate by sending electrical signals down their length in order to influence the next neuron in the chain. Those signals can be disrupted by the focused magnetic field produced by TMS.
So this is the software that allows us to track the coil and place it in a precise point on my head.
Magda's kindly offered to demonstrate the effect on her own brain, and it can be quite startling.
First, we take some points from my head and we map them on my structural scan.
Okay.
Once it's all lined up, we're going to focus this powerful magnetic field onto one of the key brain areas involved in language.
Excellent. This is the pedal that you will use to trigger the pulses. The frequency that we're going to use is 4 Hertz.
So what's next? I have to aim for your Brokers. I've got the red dot over the green crosshair.
Yes.
I'm aiming the magnetic field at what's known as Broca's area, an acorn-sized region of the brain that's particularly crucial when we're speaking.
So once I get it absolutely in the middle and I can hold it for 2 seconds, you want me to push the pedal, but what will you be doing whilst I'm doing that?
Jack, I'm going to be saying months of a year. And at some point, you just hit the pedal.
With the TMS probe accurately positioned to the millimetre, I'm about to disrupt the neurons in the Broca's area of Magda's brain.
Okay, January, February, March, June, July, August.
Wow. That was a pretty dramatic demonstration because I couldn't see your face. I was like, what's she doing? I almost totally forgot the purpose of the experiment.
It was not painful, it was just speech disruption.
You went January, February, March, and then you were trying to say April, but you couldn't. You were trying to say May, but you couldn't.
I think so, yes. I was trying to say those months. I think I got the first sound and I got stuck suddenly.
Although Magda was trying her hardest to say the months March, April and May, she simply couldn't get the words out. Inside her brain, with the TMS aimed directly at a special zone within Broca's area, it disrupted her ability to produce speech. However, another important language area known as Wernicke's area was unaffected by this TMS treatment. Wernicke's is known to be vital for understanding and comprehending the meaning of language.
Can we do it again?
Go.
January, February, March, April, May, June, July, August.
Wow.
This demonstration dramatically proves that different parts of the brain handle different aspects of language, and that the process of saying words is distinct from understanding them. Magda's research is uncovering intriguing details about other aspects of language too, such as reading. She's found that disrupting a brain area involved in how we hear sounds
You get the
affects people's ability to read, both out loud and silently.
When you look at a written word, your brain is recognizing letters. It is processing sound of a word.
That's interesting. So we're imagining the sound of the words, even though we're not saying anything out loud.
Yes, maybe sometimes unconsciously, but yes. We have shown that your brain starts processing sounds around 80 milliseconds after you see a word on a screen, which is very quickly.
That's really fast.
It's very fast, yeah. And it does this process for another 100 milliseconds. So it means that you recognize sound of a written word within 200 milliseconds.
Wow, that's cool.
Next, I want to look closer at written words and see how effective our brains are at recognizing what's written down.
So I'm going to show you a sequence of words, and I simply just want you to read them out loud.
There's 15 words to read, and I'm timing them.
Ready? And go.
Blue, red, yellow,
Orange, green,
Blue, orange, blue.
17 seconds. 20 seconds, sir. 21 seconds. Now for the twist. This time, instead of reading out the word,
Oh God.
you have to say the colour of that the font is written in.
Okay.
Okay? So, if you're ready,
I think so.
off we go.
Red, orange, blue.
purple, blue, green.
blue, green, purple, blue.
Well done, stop. How did you find that?
That was awful.
So what do you make of that? It took you double the amount of time that time.
Double the amount of time to process the... Whoa.
17. It's almost double time.
Oh, don't be hard on yourself. I say 33% slower than last time.
Yeah.
What was going on in your mind?
Just wanting to go into autopilot and just read the word out instead of the colour.
Were you surprised by how hard you found it to blurt out the word compared to the first time?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was horrible.
So this is the Stroop effect, and the explanation for this one is because we're so sort of linguistically dominant, you know, reading is a piece of cake for us, and so as soon as you see a word, you just automatically translate it into what it means, and you want to say it out loud.
Yeah.
But then when you're presented with conflicting information, it incurs a bit of a delay where you have to override the urge, in this example, to say the word orange out loud, and instead to discount the meaning of the word and focus on the colour of the font.
Time for you to have a go. All you have to do is say the colour that the words are written in out loud and spot which colour comes up the most. Here goes. You ready? That's it. So which colour did you see the most? Answer? It was green. If you thought it was purple, don't worry. That was the actual word which appeared most, but not the colour that appeared most. This test shows that we seem to have a greater instinct for recognising words than we do for colours. A brain function you might expect would be far more fundamental. Language is something our brains take naturally to. So far, we've seen that Rory's remarkable experience, Magda's cutting-edge research, and even Pete's mind tricks all reveal different elements of the incredibly complex system that coordinates human language.
The way we use language, using words or symbols to represent objects, actions, feelings, and ideas, is truly remarkable. But if something goes wrong with that, the impact on your life can be devastating.
Rory's bizarre story isn't the only unusual language condition to have fascinated the press. Foreign accent syndrome is a rare medical condition in which patients develop what sounds distinctly like a foreign accent and potentially lose an important part of their identity in the process. Kath Lockett once spoke with a clear English accent, but over the course of a week she ended up sounding Polish. So what on earth happened?
I have improved, but I still get asked where I'm from. So some people will say I'm French, German, Lithuanian, Hungarian, Russian, and when I say where I'm from, they still don't believe.
Foreign accent syndrome has been documented in cases around the world, including accent changes from Japanese to Korean, British English to French, American English to British, and Spanish to Hungarian. Some cases have no clear cause, but with Kath, it was the result of a severe neurological episode.
I started with a lisp on a Sunday night. I was talking to my sister-in-law, and like you've been to the dentist, and back of my head was starting to hurt. And by Thursday morning, not only had I lost my speech, which just came out as rubbish, I lost the swallow as well. So it wasn't language, it was just noise. In my head, I thought I was talking, but there was nothing.
Kath was having a suspected stroke and was rushed straight into hospital. Luckily, she survived the potentially life-threatening trauma, which cut off the blood supply to parts of her brain. And, after several weeks, her ability to talk returned.
And then when it started to come back, it was more of a lisp, so it was like a duh.
But astonishingly, as her speech started to recover, Kath noticed the heavy accent.
My daughter at the time said, "Come on, Ma, you need to get out." She took me to the Shah Gallery in Staffa. One of the ladies working, she said, "We have leaflet for Poland. Is it Polish? Is it Russian? We've got leaflet." And I'm going, my daughter was a bit upset. She goes, "My mom's English, what do you talk about?" She took me back on the bus and I'm whispering under, talking together. And then the gentleman 2 seats back said, "Excuse me, are you visiting? Are you from Russia?" And I'm going, why do people keep telling me I sound strange?
Although Kath has no trouble thinking of the words she wants to say, she struggles to get them out.
Hello, can I have a coffee, please?
It's thought that foreign accent syndrome may arise due to stroke damage in Broca's area, which, as we saw earlier, is where we turn words we're thinking about into speech.
February, March.
It might also be something to do with the cerebellum, which coordinates the muscles. In particular, in this case, the movements of the mouth, tongue, lips and vocal cords, over which we have to exert minute control in order to form and produce speech properly.
The brain's got to control movement of the tongue, lips, vocal cords and whatever to get from one sound to the next. So probably the most complex movement control thing that the human brain does. If you just alter that timing very slightly, that's how you end up with the distortion of the sounds, and might cause you to sound like you're speaking another language where the timing is different.
So although it can sound like somebody has picked up a foreign accent, it's just that they're now making a new set of mouth movements which give the words a subtly different sound or accent to the people listening.
When I lost the speech, I was 47. Now I'm 56 and I'm still learning. I can't sing a note anymore. I can't read out loud. I don't say my children's name correct. I don't say my own name correct.
Round about a third of people who survive a stroke have difficulty with the movements to make the sounds for the words they're trying to say. Usually, somebody listening to them would know, oh dear, that person must have had a head injury, had a stroke. But just occasionally, the nature of the changes you get to your speech don't sound as if it's some kind of speech disorder. It sounds as if you've suddenly started speaking with a foreign accent.
Coming up, Kath meets a fellow sufferer and shares with him what her voice used to sound like.
They arrive on time, safely, and without congesting the roads with further cars.
Understanding language isn't just to do with the words we speak or hear. When humans interact, we place great stock in what we can see too. A person's non-verbal body language adds huge amounts of meaning and nuance to what they've said. Their posture, how they hold their head, for instance, how they move their eyes, lips, and other facial muscles speaks volumes about their thoughts, feelings, and intentions. There's also a very important visual dimension to understanding spoken language.
It's not just our ability to read language that's easily disrupted. How we hear words and interpret them can be equally fallible. So you got the headphones? If you stick them on for me. Yep. And have a little look at this.
Watch and listen. What's Pete saying?
Ba, 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 ba.
And how would you spell bar?
B-A-A-A-A.
Like a what animal?
Sheep.
Bar, like a sheep. Very good. Spell it. B-A-R. Yeah. So let's go again. Keep your eye on his face as he's saying this, and tell me what you're saying this time.
Okay.
Ba, 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 ba.
What was he saying that time?
Far.
Far.
Yeah.
Like what kind of word in the English language does that sound like?
Father.
Far. We're starting with the P. P-A-R. Really? Brilliant.
V-A-R-R.
Yeah. Va. Va.
Yeah.
Ba.
Did you realise that you were actually hearing the same sound each and every time, bar, with a B for bravo? But what did change was what you were seeing. The second time, Pete's lips were mouthing far with an F.
What do you think of that?
I don't understand how that's happened.
Because we're such visual creatures, us humans, the visual cortex is at the back of the brain.
Yeah.
There's a huge territory of sort of brain surface area.
Right.
Whereas the auditory cortex is a much smaller. The bit where you process and hear sounds is much smaller. So we're very visually dominant. So even though you heard ba, ba, ba every single time, when you put the video of him saying fa,
Yeah.
even though you're hearing bar still,
Yeah.
the visual impression dominates the perception and it creates the illusion that the sound is saying fa.
Even though the sound of someone's voice is all we need to understand what they're saying, this illusion shows that we interpret spoken language as a combination of audible and visual elements. Check out another illusion that shows you can't always trust what you hear. Sit squarely in front of your screen and listen to this. What do you hear? This auditory illusion, created by a pioneering psychologist called Diana Deutsch, features overlapping syllables in stereo space. As you listen, you'll start to pick out different words. People typically report a huge range of words. Nowhere, window, even mango. What you hear can depend on what's already in your mind. However, none of the words are really there. Your brain is constructing them, making its own sense of the sounds. It can be a very eerie experience. Here's a similar auditory illusion. This time, you have to guess what some scrambled words are saying.
So stick those on. I'm going to listen along too. You can hold it. I'm just going to eavesdrop.
Okay.
Could you understand what was said?
No.
No? It was completely unintelligible.
Yeah, no. It was.
So now let's try it again.
This is what was hidden in the noise.
Oh my god, yeah. Yeah.
That's cool, isn't it?
Yeah, that is quite cool.
You could clearly hear that he was saying...
You're about to reveal the secrets of your brain?
Very good, very good.
Magician Pete Heat wants to make use of the way our brains combine the visual and audible elements of language to try and influence people's behaviour.
So guys, we're going to play a little game in which I'm going to try and influence one of your decisions. Okay, which sounds quite creepy. I'm going to try and control what seems like a free choice, just using my words, using language, gestures, that kind of thing. So it might not work, but it should do because I've practiced a lot. I'm going to ask you to put this in your hand. I'm going to turn away in a second so I can't see. Okay. I'm going to get you to put this in your hand with whichever number you want on top. So say if you did that, that would be 6, obviously. Yeah. And then when you've chosen the number, cover it up like this with your other hand. So when I turn back, I can't see what you've gone for, yeah?
Okay.
Cool. Whichever number you want to go for. Okay, so yeah, cool. All right, okay. You know, I said I was going to be using language to try and influence you. I don't know if you noticed, one of the last things I said just as I turned away was whichever number you want to go for. I just said 4 at the end of the sentence like that. Hopefully that'll put that number into your head above the others. Is that right? 4, brilliant. I said whichever number you want to go for. So whichever number you want to go for. Okay, yeah, well, maybe that's just luck. Should we try again?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So we'll try one more time, okay?
Yeah. Okay, I've got
Okay,
one.
cool. Can I turn back? Okay. Now, I'm obviously not looking, yeah?
Yeah, you're not looking.
But something I have been doing the whole time I've been turning away is I've been gesturing like this, saying I'm not looking. And what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to put a number into your head. I'm showing you like a big sort of number 5 with my hand like that. Okay, hopefully that worked. Did that go in on some level? Did you choose 5? Yes, brilliant. But maybe that's just luck. You know, it seems unlikely that would make you choose something, right? And this time I won't gesture at all. I put my hands down by my side. Okay, cool. I'm going to turn away. Let me know when you got one. Okay. All right. Okay. If I were you, and especially based on the face that you're pulling there, the face is kind of a go on then, catch me out this time. And normally when that happens, what that means is you haven't changed the number at all. Is that right? You're going for the same number again? Yeah. Did you think of number 5? You did. Brilliant. Okay. 3 in a row.
Yeah.
I can't believe that.
That completely threw me off.
Yeah. It's really crazy. Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah.
It's almost scary a little bit. It's like, I mean, like, if that could happen in everyday life, then, yeah. It was like maybe like our free choices aren't as free as we think they are.
Language is a powerful thing.
It's a clever little magic trick and a good illustration of how the language we hear can blend with the things we see to create strange and unexpected effects in our brains. It's time to go back to Kath Lockett, who we met earlier. She was born and raised in England, but bizarrely found herself speaking with what sounded like a foreign accent after her stroke.
The gentleman 2 seats back said, "Excuse me, are you visiting? Are you from Russia?" And I'm going, why do people keep telling me I sound strange?
Kath isn't alone in this experience. This is Richard Murray. At the age of just 29, he had a stroke that initially led to a complete loss of speech.
I was completely paralysed right side of the body, and I was unable to speak at all. I was just basically grunting and having to communicate by writing things down. I've had to really learn completely how to speak again.
Amazingly, as this footage taken soon after the stroke shows, Richard's speech was initially affected very severely. But although Richard couldn't speak, his ability to comprehend language was still fine.
I could completely understand what people were saying and knew what I wanted to say, but just physically couldn't make the movements.
Part of Richard's brain, yes, you guessed it, our friend Broca's area, the area that commands speech production, was likely to have been affected by his stroke, while sparing Wernicke's area, which deals with understanding and comprehension of language. Similar to the effect we demonstrated earlier with the TMS machine, where Magda had no trouble understanding the names of the months, March and April, but was simply unable to utter the correct sounds, it's this part of the brain that's thought to be compromised in patients who suffer from foreign accent syndrome.
March, June.
As Richard recovered, he had a foreign-sounding accent, but he's gradually getting his old English accent back again. Kath Lockett hasn't found it that easy, and it's made life very tough for her. Now Kath and Richard have decided to meet up at a local church to see how they might be able to support each other.
Hello, pleased to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet a face. It's very difficult. You don't often meet yourself very often. There's no group for us to go to.
Myself, my speech has improved and my foreign accent, I guess, has diminished over the past few years. The way I speak now is not from a natural area in the brain, so I have to think about where to put my mouth and tongue and
Yes.
lips and so on to make each sound,
Yes.
to then make each word. The first 4 words I learned was hi, bye, yes and no, to be able to go and do shopping and things like that. So there's a few cases where I would be in the supermarket and if the cashier asked me a question that wasn't a yes or no answer, I would just shrug my shoulders, and there were people in the queue behind me saying, foreigners.
Sometimes you go in a place and they were very rude to you.
Yeah.
And they treat you like a foreigner.
Yeah.
And they think you are more or less a nuisance.
Living with a speech impediment that people think is a foreign accent can be very upsetting. And for people like Kath, the only link they have with their past voice are old recordings, such as the one Kath has kept of herself on a radio phone-in.
I've bought a recording of myself before. So, would you like to listen?
Oh, of course, yes.
Are you ready?
Yeah.
She's trapped in here, you know.
Part of it was because the drivers were giving destinations unpractical to get back into Stafford to pick the kids up. So then they've had a better time given them, which does a knock-on effect.
Kath's tape is all she has left of her old voice. It's very precious to her. Losing the voice on the tape has caused her great sadness.
I'm not there anymore. My voice is never there anymore. I've got used to it a little bit, but it's taken its toll on me.
Yeah. It's, again, been fascinating to meet you, and well, hopefully we'll keep in touch now, because you're the first person I've met over the last 10 years.
No, it's difficult. You don't meet yourself very often,
No,
do you?
absolutely.
You know, I appreciate you coming to see me. I mean, I love that. It's been lovely. Thank you very much indeed. And you.
Foreign accent syndrome shows just how much the way we speak can affect our identity and the way we see ourselves.
Such a shift in the way someone speaks and the ease with which they can express themselves can be fundamentally altering to their personality.
And it doesn't have to be a full in-your-face difference in the person's speech, just detecting a slightly different vowel sound or a slightly different intonation pattern, and you're already thinking, this person's not from around here.
But foreign accent syndrome can also be very revealing about how the rest of us actually perceive speech.
One of the interesting things is that one listener will hear an Italian accent, but another listener will hear a French accent. And that's because different listeners are tuning into different aspects of the change in the person's speech.
Most of us barely spare a moment to consider how our brains accomplish the act of speaking, but it's one of the most complex actions we perform. In that regard, Richard, Rory and Kath each give us a valuable insight into how our own brains process language.
Whether it's reading, writing or speaking, our brains devote huge resources to language and have an almost instinctive capacity for it. The language centers in the brain are being decoded in ever greater detail, allowing us to better understand how we humans communicate and what happens when that ability breaks down.
June.
It's one of the most exciting areas of neuroscientific investigation, and the impact of future research could be huge. If science is successful in its attempts to unravel the secrets of language, it could even bring us a step closer to understanding what makes us human.